The crystal champagne flute shattered against the wall behind me, missing my head by inches. The room fell silent, except for my mother's ragged breathing. Even in her designer dress and perfectly coiffed hair, she looked unhinged, a stark contrast to the elegant corporate party surrounding us. I'm Willow, and this was supposed to be my moment. My promotion to the executive board at age 32 should have been cause for celebration, not another battlefield with my mother. Engineering? She spat the word like poison. I didn't raise you to waste your life playing with machines. You were meant for greater things, Willow. Law school, remember? The entire executive floor of Palmer Technologies watched in horrified fascination. My colleague Zoe stepped forward, but I raised my hand slightly, stopping her. This was my fight. Mother, you're embarrassing yourself, I said, keeping my voice steady. Security will escort you out if necessary. She laughed, that hollow, cruel sound I'd grown up hearing. Security? In case you've forgotten, I paid for your education. Everything you are today is because of my own hard work, I cut in. The scholarship paid for my education. You know that. Dylan, my boyfriend, appeared at my side, his artist's hands gentle on my shoulder. Mrs. Bryant, I think it's time for you to leave. And who are you to tell me what to do? She sneered. Another disappointment my daughter surrounds herself with. Edwin, my mentor and the closest thing to a real parent I'd ever had, stepped forward. Tiffany, enough. You're making a scene. The party had completely derailed now. Milena from HR was already on her phone, presumably calling security. But before anyone could act, the room's attention shifted to the entrance as our CEO, Mr. Richardson, walked in with an unfamiliar man. Ladies and gentlemen, Richardson announced, I have an important announcement. As of next month, I'll be stepping down as CEO. I'd like to introduce my successor, Dominic Paul. The champagne glass I was holding slipped from my fingers, crashing to the floor. The new CEO, my father, who I hadn't seen in 20 years, locked eyes with me across the room. My mother's face went chalk white. No, she whispered. No, no, no. I felt the room spinning. Dylan's grip on my shoulder tightened, grounding me. Zoe appeared on my other side, whispering, Breathe, Will, just breathe. Dominic Paul, the man whose name my mother had forbidden in our house, the man she'd told me abandoned us for his career, the man whose child support checks, I'd later discovered, she'd returned unopened for years. He looked older than in the faded photograph I kept hidden in my desk drawer, but his eyes, my eyes, were the same deep brown. He started walking toward me, but my mother intercepted him. You have no right, she hissed. No right to be here. I have every right, Tiffany, he replied calmly. This is my company now, and that's my daughter you were just berating. The silence in the room was deafening. I straightened my spine, years of engineering presentations kicking in. Mr. Paul, I said formally, welcome to Palmer Technologies. His face showed a flicker of pain at my formal tone, but he nodded. Thank you, Willow. I look forward to working with our newest board member. My mother's laugh was borderline hysterical. Oh, I see how it is. You orchestrated this whole thing, didn't you? Getting your precious daughter on the board just before taking over. Actually, Edwin stepped in, Willow earned her position months before Mr. Paul was even considered for CEO. Her work on the Sustainable Energy Project saved the company millions. I watched my mother's face contort as her narrative crumbled. She'd spent years telling me I'd never succeed in engineering, that I was throwing my life away. Now here I stood, the youngest board member in the company's history, face to face with the father she'd tried to erase. This isn't over, she snapped, grabbing her purse. Don't think for a moment this changes anything. As she stormed out, I felt something shift inside me. The scared little girl who'd always sought her approval faded away, replaced by something stronger. I apologize for the disruption, I addressed the room. Please enjoy the rest of the evening. The party gradually resumed, though I could feel the curious glances and whispered conversations. Dylan squeezed my hand. You okay? I wasn't okay. My carefully constructed world had just imploded. but I was still standing. Willow, my father, no, Mr. Paul, said quietly. We should talk. I looked at him. This stranger who shared my DNA, this man who was now my boss. Yes, I replied. We should, but not tonight. He nodded, understanding in his eyes. As he walked away, Zoe handed me a fresh glass of champagne. Well, she said, at least no one can say your promotion party was boring. Despite everything, I laughed. She was right. This was just the beginning. And for the first time in my life, I was ready to face whatever came next. No more hiding, no more seeking approval. It was time to write my own story. The coffee shop was quiet for a Tuesday afternoon. I'd chosen it specifically because it was 3 blocks from the office, far enough that my mother wouldn't think to look for me here. After a week of dodging her calls and focusing on work, I'd finally agreed to meet my father. He was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups. I remembered you liked caramel macchiatos, he said as I sat down. At least you did when you were 12. I still do, I replied, surprised he remembered such a detail, though these days I usually need something stronger. Like the whiskey you keep in your office drawer. When I raised my eyebrows, he smiled. I did my homework before taking the CEO position. Your project files are impressive. Is that why you're here? I asked, wrapping my hands around the warm cup. To discuss work? He sighed, pulling an old leather briefcase onto his lap. No, I'm here because I owe you 20 years of explanations. Mother said you left us for your career, that you chose success over family. Is that what Tiffany told you? He pulled out a stack of envelopes, all unopened, all addressed to me. These are just some of the letters I sent, birthday cards, Christmas cards, graduation congratulations, all returned unopened. My hands shook as I picked up the top envelope, my 13th birthday card, marked Return to Sender, in my mother's distinctive handwriting. I never stopped trying to reach you, Willow. Your mother made sure I couldn't. She said you stopped paying child support. He pulled out another folder. Bank statements, every month without fail. She returned those checks too, but I kept depositing them into a separate account. For you. My coffee sat untouched, growing cold. Why are you showing me this now? Because you're old enough to handle the truth, and because I watched you stand up to her at that party. You're stronger than you know, Willow. Stronger because I had to be, I shot back. Do you know what it's like growing up with her? Everything I did was wrong. Every choice I made was a disappointment. I know, he said quietly. I married her, remember? That's why I fought so hard for custody. That stopped me cold. You what? Your mother didn't tell you about the custody battle? I spent 2 years and every penny I had trying to get custody of you. She convinced the judge I was an unfit parent because I worked too much. The irony wasn't lost on me. While she spent every day telling me I worked too much, she's always been good at twisting things to fit her narrative. He pulled out one final envelope, this one new. This contains everything: court documents, letters, photos, things you should have seen years ago. I stared at the envelope but didn't take it. Why didn't you try harder? Why didn't you just show up at my school, my graduation? I did. His voice cracked. Your mother had a restraining order, said I was harassing her. The one time I got close enough to talk to you, at your high school graduation, she had me arrested. The memory hit me like a punch to the gut. The crazy man security had tackled during the ceremony. I'd barely glimpsed him. I watched from a distance, he continued. Saw you graduate college. Saw your first patent announcement. I kept every newspaper clipping about your achievements. Stop, I whispered. Just stop. My head was spinning with revelations, each one rewriting my childhood memories. I'm not telling you this to hurt you, Willow, or to turn you against your mother. I'm telling you because you deserve to know the truth. The truth? I laughed bitterly. The truth is, you're my boss now. How do I know this isn't some corporate manipulation? Because I turned down this job twice before accepting it, he replied. I only said yes when they mentioned you were on the board. It was my chance to finally be in your life again. My phone buzzed. Another message from my mother. I turned it face down without reading it. "Take the envelope," he said gently. "Read it when you're ready, or don't. It's your choice now. But know this, I never stopped loving you, and I never stopped being proud of you." I reached for the envelope with trembling fingers. "I need time." "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere this time." He stood up, then hesitated. "One more thing. That sustainable energy project you're leading, it's brilliant. And it's all you, not your mother's influence, not my genes. Just you." As he walked away, I sat there holding the envelope that contained my real childhood, not the version I'd been fed. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked at it. "Mother, we need to talk about your father's lies. Come home now." I typed back a response I'd waited 20 years to send. "No." Then I picked up the envelope and walked out, leaving both my cold coffee and my mother's demands behind. It was time to discover who I really was, beyond the lies and manipulation. And for once, I wasn't afraid of what I might find. "The projections don't lie, Willow," Zoe said, pointing at my computer screen. "The sustainable energy project is falling behind schedule." I rubbed my temples, fighting a headache. 3 days had passed since meeting my father, and the envelope still sat unopened in my desk drawer, taunting me. "We need to recalculate the power-output ratios. Something's off in the baseline measurements." "You've been distracted," she said gently. "Maybe we should—" The door burst open, and my mother strode in like she owned the place. How she'd gotten past security, I couldn't imagine. 3 days of ignored calls, she announced. "Is this how you treat your mother?" Zoe straightened. "I'll give you two some privacy." "No," I said firmly. "Stay. We have work to do, and Mother was just leaving." "Leaving?" She laughed that familiar, cutting laugh. "I drove 2 hours to get here. We need to discuss your father's ridiculous claims." "Claims?" I pulled open my drawer and took out the envelope. "You mean these court documents? The restraining order? The returned letters?" Her face paled slightly. "He showed you those? Typical Dominic, trying to poison you against me." "The only poison here came from you," I said, standing up. 20 years of lies, Mother. 20 years of making me believe I wasn't good enough. Everything I did was to protect you." She slammed her hand on my desk. "He would have ruined you like he ruined me." "Mrs. Bryant," Zoe interjected, "this is a place of business. If you can't lower your voice—" "Stay out of this," my mother snapped. "This is family business." I walked to my wall, where my engineering degree hung proudly. "You see this, Mother? The degree you said would lead nowhere. The career you said was beneath me." I took it down and held it out to her. "This is who I am. Not the lawyer you wanted, not the socialite you tried to create. Me. I gave you everything," she hissed. "Every advantage, every opportunity." "You gave me trauma," I cut in. "You gave me self-doubt. You gave me years of therapy bills." A knock at the door interrupted us. Milena from HR stood there, security guards flanking her. "Is everything all right? We heard shouting." "Everything's fine," I said calmly. "My mother was just leaving." "Like hell I am. You ungrateful—" The security guard stepped forward, but I held up my hand. "Mother, you have two choices. Leave voluntarily, or be escorted out and banned from the building. Your decision." She stared at me, and for the first time, I saw something new in her eyes. Fear. Not of the security guards, but of me, of the power I'd found. "You sound just like him," she whispered. "No," I replied. "I sound like me. The me you tried to suppress for 20 years. She grabbed her purse, hands shaking. "This isn't over, Willow. You need me. You've always needed me. The only thing I need is for you to leave." After she stormed out, Milena approached my desk. "Do you want to press charges for trespassing?" I shook my head. "Just make sure she's on the restricted access list." "Already done." Milena smiled sympathetically. "Your father asked me to give you this, by the way." She handed me a file. "It's the original patent for the Sustainable Energy Project. He thought it might help with your calculations." I opened the file, scanning the technical drawings. There, in the margins, were handwritten notes addressing exactly the power output issues we'd been struggling with. "He's been following my work," I murmured. "For years, apparently," Milena replied. "He has quite a collection of your publications in his office." After everyone left, Zoe stayed behind. "You okay?" I looked at the degree still in my hands, then at the patent file my father had sent. "You know what? I actually am. For the first time in my life, I feel clear." "What are you going to do about your mother?" I hung the degree back on my wall, straightening it carefully. "Nothing. She made her choices. Now I'm making mine." "And the envelope?" Zoe nodded toward my drawer. "I think it's time to read it." I pulled it out and broke the seal. "Want to grab dinner and help me through this?" "Only if you're buying," she grinned. "And only if you let me call Dylan to join us. He's been worried about you." I gathered my things, including both the envelope and my father's patent file. "Deal. But first, let's fix these calculations. I have a project to save and a point to prove." "To your mother?" "No," I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. "To myself." As we dove back into the technical problems, I realized something profound. My mother's dramatic entrance hadn't shaken me like it used to. Her words didn't cut as deep. The little girl desperate for approval was gone, replaced by a woman who finally understood her own worth. The real work, both with the project and my family drama, was just beginning. But for the first time, I was ready to face it all head-on, without fear or doubt. After all, I was an engineer. Solving complex problems was what I did best. Dylan's small art studio provided the perfect sanctuary for reading my father's letter. The smell of paint and canvas somehow made everything feel less intense. Zoe sat cross-legged on the worn leather couch while Dylan worked quietly at his easel, occasionally glancing over with concern. "You don't have to do this tonight," Zoe said softly. "Yes, I do." I pulled out the first document, a yellowed letter dated 20 years ago. "Dear Willow," I read aloud, my voice shaking. "I'm writing this letter, knowing your mother will probably never let you read it. Today, the judge granted her full custody, despite everything I tried to prove." Dylan set down his paintbrush. "Do you want me to read it?" I handed him the letter, unable to continue. He cleared his throat and began reading. "The judge believed your mother's claims that my work schedule made me an unfit parent. What they didn't see were the times I changed my entire career path trying to get more time with you. The consulting job I took so I could work from home. The promotions I turned down that would have required travel." Zoe squeezed my hand as Dylan continued. "Your mother told the court I was obsessed with my career, that I chose work over family. The truth is, I chose every job based on how it would affect my time with you. But she had a way of twisting everything I did into something sinister." The next document was a bank statement, 20 years of child support payments, each one returned uncashed. Below that, statements from a separate account, my account, growing steadily with each deposit he'd made anyway. "There's enough here to buy a house," I whispered, staring at the final balance. "Keep reading," Zoe urged gently. The next papers were newspaper clippings. My high school robotics competition win, my college graduation, my first patent announcement, each one carefully preserved, some with coffee stains suggesting they'd been read multiple times. Then came the photos. Me at 12, playing with a science kit, taken from a distance. Me at 16, receiving an award, shot from the back of the auditorium. Me at 21 in my graduation gown, photographed through a car window. "He was there," I said, my voice breaking. "He was always there." "Look at this one," Dylan said, pulling out a newspaper clipping. It showed me giving a presentation at an engineering conference 3 years ago. In the background, barely visible, was my father, sitting in the last row. My phone rang, making us all jump. My mother's name flashed on the screen. "Don't answer it," Zoe warned. But I did, putting it on speaker. "What do you want, Mother?" "I just left your father's office," she said, her voice unsteady. "He showed me everything, Willow. Everything." "And?" And I made mistakes, but you have to understand. Understand what? I interrupted. That you deliberately kept me from my father. That you returned every letter, every gift, every attempt he made to be in my life. I was protecting you. From what? I demanded. From having a father who loved me, from knowing that someone believed in my choices. He would have turned you against me, she said, her voice small. Like he's doing now. No, Mother, you did that all on your own. I looked at the photos spread across Dylan's studio floor. Every time you told me I wasn't good enough, every time you dismissed my achievements, every time you tried to force me to be someone I'm not. Please, she whispered, please don't do this. Do what? Tell the truth? That's rich coming from you. Dylan moved to my side, his hand warm on my shoulder. I drew strength from his presence. I'm not the villain here, my mother protested. Everything I did was for you, I finished. It was always for you. Your reputation, your plans, your control. Never for me. The line went quiet for a long moment. Then, what do you want from me, Willow? Nothing, I replied. For the first time in my life, I want absolutely nothing from you. I ended the call and let the phone drop onto the scattered papers. Zoe immediately pulled me into a hug, while Dylan wrapped his arms around us both. You did good, kid, Zoe murmured. Look, Dylan said suddenly, turning his easel toward us. He'd been painting while I read, a portrait of me surrounded by scattered letters and photos, but with light breaking through the chaos. Somehow he'd captured exactly how I felt, broken but healing, lost but finding my way. It's perfect, I whispered. My phone buzzed with a text from my father. I hope you found what you needed in those papers. My door is always open when you're ready. I looked at the painting, at my friends, at the evidence of a father's love scattered around us. For the first time, I felt like I could breathe fully, like a weight I'd carried so long I'd forgotten it was there had finally lifted. I think, I said slowly, I'm ready now. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes, Zoe announced, poking her head into my office. You ready for this? I adjusted my blazer, checking my reflection in the window. Ready as I'll ever be. The past week had been a whirlwind of preparation. The sustainable energy project was back on track, thanks to my father's notes and countless late nights with Zoe. Now we had to present our progress to the board. Hold up, Zoe said, stepping into my office. Your mother's in the lobby again. My stomach clenched. Milena banned her. She's claiming medical emergency, says she needs to see you immediately. Of course she does. I grabbed my presentation materials. Tell security to escort her out. I'm done with her emergencies. We headed toward the boardroom, but Milena intercepted us in the hallway. Willow, got a minute? The meeting. Can wait 5 minutes. Your father already knows we'll be slightly delayed. She pulled me into a nearby conference room, Zoe following. What's going on? Milena's face was serious. Your mother's been calling board members, trying to convince them you're emotionally unstable and unfit for your position. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Seriously, that's her play. She's desperate, Zoe said. You took away her control, so she's trying to hurt you the only way she can. Unfortunately, Milena continued, one board member seems sympathetic to her. Marcus is questioning whether family drama might affect your judgment. Marcus? I shook my head. He's been against me since day one. This just gives him an excuse. Which is why we need to handle this carefully, Milena said. Your presentation today needs to be flawless. My phone buzzed. A text from Dylan. Your mother just showed up at my studio. Says she has proof you're having a breakdown. She's everywhere, I muttered, showing them the message. No, Zoe said firmly. She's nowhere. She's just making noise because she's losing. Focus on what matters. The project, the presentation, your future. A knock at the door made us all turn. My father stood there, looking concerned. Everything okay? The board's waiting. I straightened my shoulders. Everything's fine, just dealing with some last-minute complications. Your mother? he asked knowingly. She's trying to convince the board I'm unstable, I said, watching his reaction. His face darkened. She used the same tactics during our custody battle. Claimed I was mentally unfit because I kept fighting for you. He stepped into the room, closing the door. But we're not going to let her win this time. We? I asked. Yes, we. Milena's documented every attempt your mother's made to interfere with company business. Zoe has records of your project's progress and your leadership. And he smiled slightly. I have 20 years of evidence showing exactly who the unstable one is. The board meeting, I started. Can wait 10 more minutes, he said. Right now, we're going to plan how to handle this properly. For the next few minutes, we strategized. Milena would present the documentation of my mother's harassment. Zoe would handle the technical presentation, demonstrating my clear-headed leadership. And I would... Just be yourself, my father said. Show them the brilliant, composed engineer I've watched from afar all these years. When we finally entered the boardroom, Marcus immediately spoke up. This delay is unprofessional. Actually, Milena cut in smoothly, we were just reviewing some concerning attempts to interfere with company operations. She began distributing folders to each board member. I took my place at the front of the room, Zoe beside me with our presentation materials. As the board members opened their folders, their expressions shifted from annoyance to concern. These allegations, Marcus began, but my father cut him off, are fully documented and verified. Now, shall we proceed with the project update? For the next hour, Zoe and I presented our findings. The power output issues had been resolved, the timeline was back on track, and our projected savings had actually increased. I answered every question with confidence, my voice never wavering. As we concluded, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Dylan. Your mother's gone, but she left something you should see. Come by the studio after work. Any other questions? I asked the board, ignoring the message for now. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. I may have been hasty in my concerns about your stability. Thank you, Marcus, I replied professionally. I understand how family drama might appear to affect one's judgment. Fortunately, I learned long ago to separate personal issues from professional responsibilities. After the meeting, my father caught up with me in the hallway. That was impressive. I had good help, I said, glancing at Zoe and Milena, who were chatting nearby. No, he shook his head. That was all you. You're stronger than she ever gave you credit for, stronger than I even imagined. My phone buzzed again. Dylan. It's important. Trust me. Excuse me, I said to my father. I need to go see what new drama my mother's created. He touched my arm gently. Whatever it is, remember, you're not alone this time. I nodded, feeling oddly peaceful despite the chaos. My mother might be everywhere, but for the first time, I had people in my corner. Real people who supported me for who I was, not who they wanted me to be. Dylan's studio was filled with the golden light of sunset when I arrived. He was standing in front of a large canvas, but it wasn't his usual artwork that caught my attention. It was the old shoebox sitting on his work table. Your mother dropped this off, he said quietly. Said it was time you saw the whole truth. I approached the box cautiously, as if it might bite. Did you look inside? No, but... He hesitated. She was crying, Will. Real tears. Not her usual dramatic performance. I lifted the lid. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, from before I was born. My mother and father, young and laughing, their wedding day, holidays together. They looked happy. There's more, Dylan said, pointing to an envelope at the bottom. The envelope contained medical records, psychiatric evaluations, prescriptions, all with my mother's name. Postpartum depression, I read aloud, severe anxiety disorder, paranoid tendencies. My hands shook as I turned the pages. These are dated from right after I was born. Keep reading, Dylan urged gently. Treatment recommendations, therapy sessions, medications prescribed but never taken. A pattern emerged, my mother repeatedly refusing help, convinced everyone was against her. She was sick, I whispered. All this time. Willow. My father's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway looking uncertain. Dylan called me. I thought you should hear this part from me. I gestured to the medical records. Did you know? He entered the studio slowly, like he was approaching a wounded animal. I tried to get her help. That's what really caused our separation. Not work, not another woman. She became convinced I was trying to prove she was an unfit mother. But you never told me. How could I? He ran a hand through his grey hair. You were 12 when she won custody. Telling you your mother was mentally ill would have only made things worse. Dylan quietly moved to his easel, giving us space while pretending to paint. The control, the manipulation, I said, pieces falling into place. It was all because she was sick. Part of it, my father nodded, but being sick doesn't excuse what she did to you. She refused treatment, refused help. That was her choice. I picked up a photo of the three of us. Christmas morning, me probably around 2 years old. We looked like a normal, happy family. She's getting worse, my father said softly. The calls to board members, showing up everywhere, trying to destroy what you've built. She's spiraling. What am I supposed to do with this? I asked, my voice cracking. How am I supposed to hate her now? You don't have to hate her, Dylan spoke up from his easel. But you don't have to forgive her either. My father stepped closer. There's something else you should know. The company's mental health program. I implemented it last week. Full coverage, complete confidentiality. If she ever decides to get help. You did that for her? I did it for everyone, he corrected. But yes, I made sure it would cover family members of employees. A knock at the studio door made us all turn. Zoe stood there, slightly out of breath. Your mother's at the office again. She's demanding to see both of you. No, I said firmly. Not like this. Not on her terms. My father nodded. What do you want to do? I looked at the medical records, then at the happy family photos. I want to do this right. Zoe, call Milena. Tell her to set up a meeting, neutral ground, with a counsellor present. Already done, Zoe smiled. Milena suggested the company's new mental health centre. Tomorrow morning. I turned to my father. Will you be there? If you want me to be. I do. I gathered the medical records and photos, putting them back in the shoebox. But first, I need you to tell me everything. No more secrets, no more protected truths. I need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. Dylan cleared his throat. I'll make coffee. Looks like it's going to be a long night. As Dylan and Zoe moved around the studio, giving us space while staying close for support, my father and I sat down to talk. Really talk, for the first time in 20 years. Start from the beginning, I said. Tell me about the woman in these photos. Tell me about the mother I never knew. He picked up the wedding photo, touching my mother's smiling face gently. She was brilliant, beautiful, and so full of life. And then something broke, and she couldn't admit it needed fixing. Outside, the sun had set completely, but Dylan's studio lights created a warm, safe bubble around us. As my father began to tell our family's true story, I realized that understanding didn't mean forgiving, and knowing the reasons didn't erase the pain. But maybe, just maybe, it was a start towards something better, or at least something honest. The mental health center's family counseling room felt too bright, too sterile. My mother sat across from me, her perfect posture and manicured nails at odds with her red-rimmed eyes. My father sat between us, a physical buffer in this emotional minefield. Dr. Sarah, the counselor, spoke first. Thank you all for coming. Shall we begin? This is ridiculous, my mother said, but her voice lacked its usual bite. We don't need a stranger involved in family matters. Family matters? I couldn't help but laugh. Like when you involved the entire board in your campaign to discredit me. I was protecting you. Mrs. Bryant, Dr. Sarah interjected calmly, why don't you explain what protection means to you? My mother's hands trembled as she reached for her purse, pulling out a familiar photograph, the same Christmas morning shot I'd seen in the shoebox. Look at us, she said softly. We were happy. Perfect. Then he started working late, missing dinners, prioritizing his career. I was working late because you were becoming unstable. My father cut in. The medical bills. I wasn't unstable, she snapped. You just wanted everyone to think I was. Mother, I leaned forward, pushing the medical records across the table. It's all here. The diagnoses, the refused treatments. You needed help. Help? She laughed that hollow laugh I knew so well. I needed my husband to choose his family. I needed my daughter to follow the path I knew would keep her safe. Safe from what? I demanded. From ending up like him. She pointed at my father. Consumed by work, missing life, losing everything that matters. Dr. Sarah spoke again. Tiffany, it sounds like you're describing your own fears, not Willow's reality. You don't understand, my mother whispered. None of you understand. Then help us understand, I said. Help me understand why you returned every letter, every gift. Why you told me he abandoned us when he was fighting to be in my life. Because he would have taken you away. Tears spilled down her cheeks, smearing her perfect makeup. Just like he tried to take you when you were little, claiming I was unfit, trying to force me into therapy, into taking pills that would make me into someone else. My father's voice was gentle. The pills would have helped you, Tiffany. The therapy would have given you tools to cope. I didn't need tools, she shouted. I needed control. Don't you see? Everything was spinning, falling apart. Control was the only thing keeping me sane. And now, Dr. Sarah asked, what's keeping you sane now? My mother looked at me, really looked at me, perhaps for the first time in years. Nothing, she whispered. I've lost control of everything. My daughter hates me. My ex-husband is her boss. All my careful plans. I don't hate you, I said quietly. I hate what you did. I hate the lies, the manipulation, the way you made me doubt myself. But I don't hate you. Willow. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back. No, Mother. Listen to me. I'm not that scared little girl anymore. I'm not your puppet or your project or your second chance. I'm an engineer, a board member, and a grown woman who's done letting you control her life. But I'm your mother. Yes, you are, and you're sick. You have been for a long time. But being sick isn't an excuse anymore. My father cleared his throat. The company's health plan, Tiffany. Full coverage for mental health services. No questions asked, complete confidentiality. She stared at him. You did that for me? For everyone, he said. But yes, with you in mind. Dr. Sarah leaned forward. Tiffany, accepting help isn't losing control. Sometimes it's the strongest form of taking control. My mother's hands shook as she picked up the medical records. And if I get help, what then? Then we take it one day at a time, I said. No promises, no guarantees, just honest efforts and real change. I don't know how to be any other way, she admitted. That's what therapy is for, Dr. Sarah said gently. Shall we schedule your first individual session? My mother looked at me, then at my father, then back at the Christmas photo in her hands. Will you? She swallowed hard. Will you come with me? Just the first time? I exchanged glances with my father. He nodded slightly. Yes, I said. We'll come. But after that, you have to do the work yourself. She nodded, tears flowing freely now. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know it's not enough, but I am sorry. I know, I replied, standing up. But sorry isn't what I need from you right now. I need you to get help, real help. As we left the counseling room, my father squeezed my shoulder. You did good, kiddo. We'll see, I said, watching my mother schedule her first therapy appointment with trembling fingers. We'll see. The Sustainable Energy Project launch party felt different from my promotion celebration. No flying champagne glasses, no dramatic scenes, just genuine achievement and quiet pride. I stood at the podium, looking out at the faces before me. When we started this project, I began, many said it couldn't be done, that the power output ratios were impossible to balance, that the cost would outweigh the benefits. I paused, finding Zoe's encouraging smile in the crowd. They were wrong. The presentation screen behind me showed the final numbers. Millions in savings, unprecedented efficiency ratings, and most importantly, a significant reduction in environmental impact. But this success isn't just about numbers, I continued. It's about people, about trust, collaboration, and believing in something bigger than ourselves. My father sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Next to him, in a simple black dress that would have seemed plain by her old standards, sat my mother. 3 months of intensive therapy had softened her edges, though her hands still fidgeted with nervous energy. I'd like to thank my team, especially Zoe, who never lost faith. I took a deep breath. And my family, who taught me that sometimes the hardest engineering problems aren't technical at all, they're human. After the applause and congratulations, I found Dylan by the refreshment table sketching on a napkin. "Still working on that portrait?" I asked, peeking at his drawing. "Almost done." He showed me the nearly completed canvas on his phone, my presentation moment captured in oils and emotion. "Though your mother keeps asking me to make her look younger," I laughed. "Some things never change." "But some things do," he said, nodding toward where my parents stood, actually having a civil conversation with Edwin and Milena. "Willow," my mother's voice called out, lacking its former sharp command. "Come here, darling. Edwin was just telling us about your first interview." I approached cautiously, still not entirely trusting these moments of normalcy. "I was saying," Edwin continued, "how you showed up with that prototype you'd built in your garage, determined to prove yourself on merit alone." "She gets that from me," my father said proudly. My mother tensed slightly, but then did something that surprised me. She laughed. "Actually, that determination is all her own. We just had to learn to stop standing in her way." "Speaking of not standing in the way," Milena interjected smoothly, "the board was very impressed with the project results, Willow. There's talk of expanding it globally." "Really?" I turned to my father. "You didn't mention that." He shrugged. "Wanted it to be a surprise. Though you'll have to travel for the implementations." I waited for my mother's reaction. The old her would have protested, tried to control the situation. Instead, she touched my arm gently. "When do you leave?" she asked quietly. "Not for a few months," I replied. "Still lots of planning to do." "Good." She straightened my jacket collar. A familiar gesture, but without the usual criticism. "That gives me time to work on, being okay with not being in control." "How's that going?" I asked carefully. "Dr. Sarah says I'm making progress." She smiled wryly. "Though I still hate those group therapy sessions." "But you're going," my father pointed out. "Yes, well..." She glanced at me. "Some things are worth the discomfort." Zoe appeared with champagne flutes, real ones this time, not the crystals my mother used to prefer. "Toast to the project lead." As everyone raised their glasses, I looked around at this unlikely gathering. My father, back in my life and proving to be the mentor I'd always needed. My mother, fighting her demons one therapy session at a time. Dylan capturing our story in art. Zoe, my unwavering support. Edwin, Milena, family chosen rather than born to. "Actually," I said, raising my glass, "I'd like to toast to something else. To engineering problems of all kinds, technical and emotional. To solutions that require more than calculations. And to the courage to rebuild what's broken, even when the blueprints aren't clear." "To courage," my mother echoed softly, her hand finding mine. Later, as the party wound down, I found myself alone with my father in my office, looking at the city lights below. "You know," he said, "I always dreamed of working with you like this. I just never imagined that it would take 20 years and a corporate crisis." He chuckled. "That you would exceed every dream I had for you." My mother's voice came from the doorway. She exceeded both our dreams, even the misguided ones. We stood there, the three of us, not quite healed but no longer broken. Not quite a normal family, but maybe something better, a work in progress, with all of us holding the tools to build something new. "Ready to go home?" Dylan asked, appearing with his portfolio and my coat. I looked at my parents, at my office, at the life I'd built despite and because of everything. Yes, I said, feeling the truth of it deep in my bones. I'm ready.
My name Ava, and it's been almost 10 years since my divorce from Liam and my former mother-in-law, Olivia. Yes, I am currently single, mainly because the scars of my past marriage and divorce linger. At this point, I don't see myself venturing into the dating scene anytime soon. However, I find solace in the satisfaction of the revenge I've taken against my ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law. My journey with Liam began through a work colleague who happened to be his cousin. We first met at one of our colleagues' anniversary parties. Initially, Liam impressed me as a sweet and charming individual. Despite not having a substantial income, I believed he was a good person and decided to give our relationship a chance. In the beginning, our connection flourished, and we were the epitome of a perfect couple, unable to keep our hands off each other. However, as time went on, Liam's affection dwindled, and he began making peculiar demands. He questioned my frugal lifestyle, expressing surprise that I, despite my significant earnings, didn't indulge myself or him more. According to him, I didn't measure up to the standards of my friends. I tried to explain that my financial choices were deliberate, with plans for the future and a preference for saving. Liam, however, accused me of hiding money and not wanting to share it with him. Despite my occasional pampering and reassurances that he didn't need to worry about my financial decisions, Liam insisted that my approach to spending was inadequate for his dream of a better life. His words were hurtful, but influenced by those around me, I started to question if I was being unfair to my partner. Acknowledging the income disparity, I began to feel that I should be spending more money on him, given my higher earnings. I naively embraced this mindset and allowed it to shape my actions. Despite my initial happiness with Liam, I eventually married him, foolishly covering most of the wedding expenses myself. Additionally, I contributed over 85% to our household expenses. At that time, I believed I was doing it for the sake of my life partner. Little did I know, I was being taken advantage of in the name of love. Just 3 months after marrying Liam, his mother abruptly moved in with us. Without any prior discussion, she entered our home with suitcases in tow, announcing her permanent residence. Stunned, I confronted Liam, only to learn that he had unilaterally invited his mother to stay without consulting me. Liam defended his decision, asserting that since I earned enough money, he didn't feel the need to seek my approval. Despite my frustration, I had no choice but to accommodate Olivia. Our rented house was in both our names, even though I was the sole contributor to the bills. Liam rarely had the funds to contribute, and over the 3 years we were together, he never once bought me a gift. While I didn't expect extravagant presents, his lack of effort in the relationship became increasingly bothersome, compounded by the fact that I was shouldering the financial burden for his unhelpful mother. Fed up with their attitudes, I confided in a work colleague about Olivia and Liam. To my surprise, my colleague's face darkened in response. Upon sensing that he was concealing something, I pressed for information, and he reluctantly disclosed Liam's gambling addiction. He mentioned that Liam wanted to give me some money because he had lost his previous job due to cash theft. Initially in disbelief, he sent me screenshots of their conversation, complete with pictures of Liam gambling with people around him. The revelation left me feeling devastated and sickened. Rushing home, I confronted Liam about the betrayal. "I know all about your gambling ways, Liam. I also know that you got fired from your last job for theft. What is wrong with you?" I exclaimed. In response, Liam callously dismissed my concerns, stating that not everyone aspired to be a middle-class worker like me. He believed he could amass millions through gambling, assuring me of future success. Shocked, I questioned how he funded his gambling activities. Liam casually admitted to dipping into our savings account, using the cash for his recent games. The revelation left me frozen with disbelief. As if one betrayal wasn't enough, I learned that Liam had been secretly stealing from my hard-earned savings, leaving me devastated. In a fit of anger, I confronted him for touching my savings, expressing how I had worked tirelessly for years to build them, only to see them depleted by Liam's gambling addiction. Amidst our heated argument, Olivia intervened, unsurprisingly taking Liam's side. She defended him, stating that her son was intelligent and would eventually make it big through gambling. According to her, my money was also his to spend as he pleased. I vehemently disagreed, emphasizing that it was money earned through hard work and sacrifice, contributing significantly to the household. Unaware that Liam had lost his job, I discovered he had stolen my money to sustain his gambling habit while maintaining the facade of employment. When confronted, Olivia staunchly defended her son, claiming he was doing me a favor as I lacked the capability to be successful on my own. She labeled me as useless, conveniently ignoring the fact that both she and Liam had not contributed to our family's well-being over the past year. Frustrated with their ingratitude, I asserted that I was done with both of them, declaring Liam a failure who would never achieve anything in life. It was at that moment I resolved to initiate divorce proceedings. Despite my love for Liam, the betrayal and his reckless spending of my hard-earned money on gambling had become intolerable. Initiating an amicable divorce proved to be a challenging ordeal. Liam initially pleaded for me to stay, followed by attempts at emotional blackmail, threatening to claim half my assets and demand alimony. His mother joined forces in pressuring me to reconcile. Months passed before my lawyer could convince Liam to relinquish alimony and agree to a fair division of assets. In a final attempt to manipulate the situation, I threatened to press charges for bank theft due to Liam's unauthorized withdrawal of money from our accounts. Eventually, he reluctantly signed the divorce papers. Despite this victory, I still incurred significant financial losses due to his gambling addiction. To add insult to injury, Liam and Olivia hurled a final insult my way, claiming I hadn't truly won and asserting that I was nothing but a worthless individual. They taunted me, suggesting that despite my current earnings, one day Liam would surpass me in wealth, implying that I would be forced to beg him for money. We won't forget this insult, Ava. You abandoned my son and me when we needed you. One day, you will pay for it. Mark my words, Ava. Liam will be more successful than you, Olivia warned, her bitterness evident. Undeterred, I responded, let's wait and see what happens. A day will come when I will make you eat your words. We will see who ends up doing the begging. Upon the finalization of the divorce, I left my job and sought a fresh start in a new state. Eager to distance myself from my past life, particularly Liam's cousin, I secured a new job that not only offered a change of scenery, but also came with a promotion, making the opportunity even more enticing. Over the ensuing years, I diligently saved while climbing the corporate ladder. Through hard work and dedication, I earned swift promotions and eventually amassed enough savings to invest in the company. After a pivotal meeting with the company's leadership, I achieved my dream of becoming a director. Meanwhile, I heard that Liam continued his gambling habits, resulting in the loss of whatever money and assets he had left. Struggling with debt, Liam and Olivia decided to move to my state, where Liam married Emma, a wealthy heiress. Emma's father happened to be a business associate of mine. Liam complained about Emma and expressed suspicion about his new son-in-law, disliking Olivia and considering her a freeloader. Despite my knowledge, I bided my time, recognizing it wasn't yet the right moment to unveil the truth about Liam. Enjoying a fulfilling life, I unexpectedly received a call from Olivia. Intrigued, I learned that Liam had applied for a position at the company where I held a significant role. Curiosity piqued, I contemplated whether it was finally time to serve Liam his just dessert. I received a call from Olivia, who seemed eager to gloat about Liam and their new life. With a sarcastic tone, she greeted me, "Hello, Ava." "It's Olivia. I hope you haven't forgotten me yet," I responded. Olivia, how could I forget my dear mother-in-law who has mooched off me for 3 years and helped her son steal my money? Long time no see, Olivia. Well, I have some news for you today. Olivia proceeded to share her version of the story, highlighting Liam's alleged success. She reminded me of my past comment, labeling Liam as a failure. According to her, he was now married to a beautiful girl and had secured a job paying him $160K per year. She asserted that Liam had become successful, emphasizing that it was my loss. Amused by her words, I couldn't help but laugh at the blatant lies. Despite the absurdity of her claims, Olivia appeared oblivious to the fact that I already knew the truth. Regaining composure, I addressed her, saying, "First of all, dear ex-mother-in-law, Liam only gets $59K a year. There is no reason to lie to people, you know. And yes, I already have all the information about him." Perplexed, Olivia questioned my source and accused me of accusing her of lying. I calmly explained, "No one had to tell me, Olivia. Do you want to know how I found out?" "Well, my assistant was the one who interviewed him yesterday." Olivia, insisting it was impossible, declared that I had no connection to the company, dismissing me as a worthless woman. I retorted, "Here's some news for you, Olivia. As a director at the company, I'm well versed in the salary brackets, and your assumption that Liam has secured the job is rather bold. Despite your confidence in his intelligence, my assistant actually placed him at the bottom of the list of candidates after reviewing his credentials. As I mentioned 10 years ago, no sane company would readily hire someone with a notable gap in their employment history. Rest assured, I plan to inform his wife about the reality of his situation." My words seemed to strike a nerve with Olivia, prompting a change in her demeanor. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, she, perhaps begrudgingly, acknowledged that she wasn't dealing with an uninformed individual. She attempted to plead with me, saying, "Okay, Ava, look. I see you've made it big in life, but you should also understand that my son has a lot of contributions to your success. You should keep that in mind and give him the job. Can't you just stop making me laugh, Olivia? After everything you two have done, do you expect me to help you?" Unfazed by her plea, I reminded her of the purpose of her call to gloat about Liam's supposed success. She asserted that Liam's marriage to a rich and beautiful girl was a testament to his achievements. I, in turn, pointed out that his wife believed he had a $160K job and significant property holdings, based on what Olivia portrayed on social media. Seizing the opportunity, I proposed revealing the truth to Liam's wife, prompting an immediate plea from Olivia. She urged me not to jeopardize Liam's newfound success and appealed to my sense of empathy. Olivia implored me to grant Liam the job, portraying me as an unsupportive wife. I listened carefully to her desperate plea, contemplating my next move. I will not help Liam. He is perfectly capable of destroying his own reputation. At this point, I'll never vouch for him, not even from a professional standpoint. So instead of bothering me with your fake flexes, you should help your son find a good job. Good luck with that, Olivia. Trust me, you will need it, I declared before ending the call. Despite Olivia's persistent attempts to reach me, I chose not to engage with her tantrums. With no interest in entertaining her calls, I swiftly focused on my plan. I instructed my assistant to send rejection letters to all the candidates who hadn't been selected. Anticipating Liam's response, I awaited his call, confident he would have obtained my number from Olivia. True to my expectations, Liam called within an hour of receiving the rejection letter. Curious to witness his reaction, I answered the call. He sounded desperate, a far cry from the arrogant jerk I had divorced. "What do you want, Liam?" "I see that my dear ex-mother-in-law gave you my number already," I remarked casually. "Ava, I know you are one of the directors at the company I interviewed for." "I just got the rejection letter," Liam admitted, his desperation palpable. "Please do something and help me get the job. I know you can help if you want to. Why do you think I would jeopardize my professional life for you? Do you think I am mad? You have some nerve to ask me to give you a job after all these years. Look, I know I didn't treat you right back then, but I was still your husband. We do have some good memories. Please consider those and give me the job. My wife, Emma, will leave me if I don't get a job soon." Liam's plea echoed through the phone, and I responded with a firm stance. "Why should I jeopardize my professional life for you? You treated me poorly during our marriage, and now you want me to hand you a job? It's absurd. And as for your financial situation, I know you've been lying to Emma about it." "Guess what, Liam? I know her family, and I have her number from her dad. All I have to do is tell the truth, and she'll be free." Panicking, Liam implored, "No, no, no. Please don't do this. Don't destroy my 160K ravage, Ava. Emma will divorce me if she finds out, and if she divorces you, all your plans will fail. You won't be able to touch her inheritance or her money, and you won't be able to get the life you always wanted." My revelation left Liam speechless, and I sensed an opportunity for true revenge. He began begging me not to reveal the truth to Emma, but I ended the call without yielding to his pleas. Swiftly, I sent a text to Emma, requesting her to call me and explain who I was, hoping to reach her before Liam did. When Emma called, I introduced myself as Ava, her father's friend, and Liam's ex-wife. I divulged the truth about Liam's deceptive financial situation, countering the image he had portrayed on Facebook. I said, "Well, I guess you think he is pretty rich and up to your family standards. Well, he is not rich at all. He has absolutely nothing of value. You posted on Facebook that he got a 160K job. Well, it's time you know the truth. I'm the director of the company he mentioned, and he only applied for a low-paying job, which he didn't get." "What the hell are you talking about?" "But he told me." "I know what he told you, Emma. I've seen it on your Facebook. I know you might not believe me, but you can ask your dad. He can easily find out if Liam is lying. But I don't understand. Why would Liam lie to me? Because he wanted to take over your inheritance and properties. He always wanted a luxurious life for himself, and he is a gambler. Unfortunately, we divorced because I refused to fund his lifestyle and support his gambling habits. His mother supports him. Anyway, I don't know what he told you, but that's the truth. You can ask around if you are doubtful about me. I don't want you to be stuck with a liar and a loser. Thank you for telling me, Ava. I'll dig for more information and find out. Also, don't worry. I made him sign a plenum and only agreed to remove it once he gets a job. Looks like that won't be happening after all." With that revelation delivered, I hoped Emma would uncover the truth about Liam and make an informed decision about her future. I successfully concluded my part of the revenge, and the aftermath unfolded gloriously. Initially, both James and Liam bombarded me with calls, begging for assistance and pleading for pity. Meanwhile, Emma, Liam's wife, took matters into her own hands and uncovered the truth independently. I provided some crucial information to her father, who, in turn, expressed his anger and vowed to expose Liam's lies. After 2 days, the tone of the texts from my ex-mother-in-law and ex-husband changed dramatically. They began hurling insults, calling me a witch and a jerk for allegedly destroying Liam's marriage. Emma and her father confronted Liam, leading to the initiation of divorce proceedings. Thanks to the prenuptial agreement still in place, none of Emma's assets would go to Liam, and he would have to hire a lawyer to navigate the divorce. Despite my success, James and Liam persisted in harassing me until I issued a threat to expose them online, which finally put an end to their attempts to contact me. The latest reports indicate that Liam continues to inquire about job openings at our company. Additionally, sources reveal that Olivia and Liam are embroiled in constant fights over financial issues. Perhaps now, James will experience firsthand what it's like to be stuck with a man-child for the rest of her life.
I'm Ava, a 29-year-old mother to a wonderful 8-year-old named James. Lately, my life has taken an unexpected turn, all thanks to my troublesome ex-husband. You know the type? The one you wish you had dealt with a long time ago? Well, that's him. Our story began in college, navigating through significant and monumental moments together. We graduated side by side, moved to Chicago, and supported each other in the early stages of our careers. We built a life together, but I must admit that Leo, my ex-husband, was always a mediocre guy. He wasn't particularly successful or wealthy. We came together during a vulnerable period in my life when my mother was battling cancer. Leo provided the support I needed at that crucial time. On an unforgettable Thanksgiving, he surprised everyone by proposing, and I said yes. We decided to tie the knot, and as a wedding present, my parents gave us a mansion they owned, a grand start to our new life as husband and wife. Then came James, our baby boy. While I found my purpose and flourished in my well-paying job, Leo struggled to catch a break. He bounced from one job to another, never staying for more than a month. As I was thriving, our relationship hit a rough patch. At first, I believed we could overcome the challenges. However, subtle changes in Leo's behavior caught my attention. I couldn't quite pinpoint what was bothering him, but over time, it became evident that he was dissatisfied with his financial situation. The fact that I owned more than him seemed to hurt his ego. Then, one day, I stumbled upon clues suggesting Leo's involvement in illegal activities. Confronting him directly seemed impossible, fearing his defensive reaction due to the company he worked for and his position. Despite his surprising earnings, it raised suspicions. Walking on eggshells around him became exhausting, prompting me to gather the courage for a heart-to-heart talk one evening. To my surprise, he didn't get defensive, but confessed to engaging in illegal activities. He had been embezzling money using the company credit cards, driven by insecurity about earning less than me, and living in a house that wasn't his own. James's arrival made things messier, intensifying his shame for not providing for our family. His admission of these illegal activities dealt a final blow to our already fragile relationship. James, my priority, couldn't grow up with a father involved in criminal activities. Leo wasn't the role model I envisioned for him, and I couldn't risk the potential consequences for our family. Fearing the unknown impact on our lives, I chose to prioritize James's future. Divorce, with joint custody of James, became the necessary step. Breaking free from the toxic web we had woven around ourselves was terrifying, yet liberating. The decision was made in pursuit of the best possible life for my son and myself. A year and some months had passed since our divorce, and everything was going smoothly. Leo and I had a well-arranged agreement. He would have James on weekends, and our communication remained low-key. Despite his mention of remarriage, I harbored no judgment. Our divorce was relatively straightforward. On an ordinary Monday morning, after James had hopped on the school bus, I began my day, performing typical mom duties such as chores and walking our dog, Archer. Working as a social media manager for a lifestyle magazine allowed me to mostly work from home, except for 3 office days. Engrossed in my work in the study, I was interrupted by a woman's voice calling my name from downstairs. The voice didn't match that of any close friends, and upon descending, I found Evelyn, Leo's new wife. Although she seemed oddly familiar, I couldn't immediately place her. Evelyn declared, "Ava, we need to talk." Confused but willing to listen, I responded, "Hi there, Evelyn. I'm not sure why you're saying that, but okay, go ahead." She questioned how long I planned to stay in the house, emphasizing that Leo's initial support was due to James. According to her, it was time for me to figure out my stuff after months. Baffled, I asked for clarification. Evelyn expressed exhaustion from living in a cramped apartment, unable to host family and friends for Christmas. She believed it was tough to make memories in such a confined space. She acknowledged the house as a dream home, but insisted it belonged to Leo, who had not been upfront about it. I yearn for a fresh start, a new life right here. My ultimate desire is to find a solution that works for everyone involved. Perhaps we could explore a place nearby, maintaining stability for you and James while giving me the opportunity to create a home with Leo. However, the assertion that I need to leave caught me off guard. Who told you that, Evelyn? This house belongs to me. I inherited it from my parents. No need to hide it from me, as Leo has already shared how you've been spreading rumors about the house being yours and criticizing him for not being successful. I don't comprehend the dynamics between you two, but speaking negatively about a man who's letting you stay under his roof raises questions about the image you're painting of his dad for your son. Hold on, Evelyn. I'm curious about who's been providing you with all these details. Let me set things straight. This house is unequivocally mine. Speaking of Leo, he's the last topic I'd like to discuss. However, Leo claims he owns this place. Why would I lie to you? I can show you the paperwork that proves this house is rightfully mine. When I got married, my parents gifted me this place and named me the owner. Regarding getting my life together, I already have a job that provides for me and my son. Honestly, I don't know what to believe anymore. I had a strong suspicion that Leo deliberately kept Evelyn in the dark about certain matters. When I inquired if she had some time to talk, Evelyn affirmed, and we decided to sit down for a conversation. Offering her a choice of drinks, she opted for tea. Leading Evelyn into the living room, she took a seat on the couch while I went upstairs to search for the necessary paperwork. It was evident that Evelyn needed tangible proof, and I couldn't blame her for that. I couldn't fathom how long Leo had been deceiving her regarding the ownership of the house. Upon finding the relevant documents, I returned to the living room and handed them to Evelyn. As she sifted through the paperwork, I took the initiative to prepare some hot peppermint tea for both of us. Expressing my regret, I acknowledged that blaming her was not justified. However, I felt compelled to share the unsettling revelation that Leo had been spreading false and malicious stories about her. He portrayed her as suspicious and erratic during their marriage, asserting that he divorced her because he couldn't handle it anymore. To add insult to injury, he pretended to be concerned about their child, James, having a mother like her. Leo had woven a web of deceit, claiming ownership of the mansion. According to his narrative, post-divorce, Evelyn struggled, and, in an apparent act of kindness, he generously offered her a place to stay, this very mansion. He took pride in recounting this fabricated story at dinner parties with colleagues and on vacations with Evelyn's family. The extent of his deception was unsettling, and I could only imagine the impact it had on Evelyn's perception of her own life. It's as if he has made it his favorite topic. Whenever someone brings up your name or the divorce, he seizes the opportunity to weave a narrative. Leo has even gone so far as to claim he gave you warning signs, insinuating that you were desperately clinging to the house. The rumors he's been spreading about me are unbelievable. He's tarnishing my reputation, portraying me as a helpless wreck post-divorce, supposedly dependent on his benevolence for support. Frankly, I never harbored any doubts about Evelyn. Leo, or Jorge as I used to know him, was always a dubious character with hidden skeletons in his closet. The primary reason for our separation was his involvement in white-collar crimes. At that time, I was still emotionally attached to him, making me hesitant to expose his wrongdoing. In retrospect, I realize I made a mistake. I was blinded by what I thought was love. Dealing with Leo was tricky. I didn't want him anywhere near our son, yet I also didn't want to see him behind bars. So I fabricated an excuse about outgrowing the relationship and quietly exited the scene. However, discovering that he's been parading around as my savior, acting all high and mighty, was a line I couldn't let him cross. I decided to lay everything bare. I confronted Evelyn, realizing there was something she needed to know. I acknowledged that while I wasn't entirely honest about our separation, neither had Leo. Ava, I disclosed to Evelyn, Leo was involved in embezzlement. It was a challenging situation, and after confronting him, he admitted to using his company's credit card for personal gain. Faced with the dilemma of wanting to protect him versus doing what was right, I ultimately chose not to turn him into the police. I believe he managed to evade consequences for his actions. Wait, Ava, are you telling me that Leo, my husband, was involved in embezzlement? I can't even comprehend that. Seriously, it's beyond my understanding. I know, Evelyn. I didn't believe it myself. James's well-being was my priority. Despite Leo still being my husband, I couldn't bring myself to report him. I did what I thought was best for James, shielding him from the consequences of having a father engaged in illegal activities. I had to prioritize his safety and future. Wait, what if he's still committing fraud? If he never faced consequences, he might still be involved in such activities. This is mind-blowing. This is the man I married. I need to figure out if he's still entangled in this mess. We can't let it slide this time. Well, I've thought of a plan. Isn't Leo's birthday in 1 week? Yes, it is. I've come up with a brilliant scheme to finally expose him to everyone. Evelyn, you won't believe the epic idea I've got. Picture this. What if you ask Leo if we could throw his birthday bash at, well, let's call it his mansion. You know, my place. Use all your powers of persuasion until he can't resist saying a big fat yes. We'll invite all his work buddies, basically everyone he's ever met. And then comes the piece de resistance. We decided to orchestrate a super special announcement and surprise for his birthday. Count me in, I thought. Evelyn did an excellent job convincing Leo about the grand party, as evidenced when he came to pick up James for their weekend together and brought up the matter. Hey Ava, he began. I need to ask you for a favor. Of course, Leo. What is it? Well, Evelyn wants to throw a big birthday celebration for me and invite all my coworkers, her family, and pretty much everyone she knows. The thing is, our place is like a sardine can, and it just won't fit all those people. So I was wondering if you would be willing to let us use your mansion for the party. James would be thrilled about the idea as well. Leo was completely oblivious to the trap we had set for him. Little did he know that he was walking right into our carefully crafted plan. All right, Leo, I'll think about it. The mansion is available, but I'll need to check with work to see if I can get a day off. I'll let you know. Thanks, Ava. And, there is something else. I know it's a big favor to ask, but could you pretend that the mansion is mine during the party? It would be embarrassing in front of my coworkers and in-laws if they found out I had to borrow your place. I didn't want to appear like a total loser. And, well, maybe we shouldn't tell Evelyn about it either. That's just typical Leo. I expressed my reservations, telling him that keeping such a significant secret seemed like a massive undertaking. I needed time to think about it, but I couldn't guarantee anything. I know, it's a bit of a stretch, but just think about it. I'd owe you a lot if you'd help me out, Leo pleaded. With that, he had to go, urging me to text him once I made up my mind. Just like that, everything fell into place. I texted Evelyn, confirming that the plan was a go, and asked her to send out invites to everyone for Leo's big day. A few days later, I gave Leo the green light to celebrate his birthday at my place, promising to keep his little secret. Finally, the big day arrived. Leo's birthday. He walked in with Evelyn, and we all acted casual. Little did Leo know that we had a whole plan brewing behind the scenes. James was excited to see his dad, but I couldn't ignore the hurt and betrayal I felt. I had protected Leo and kept his secrets, and in return, he spread lies about me during our marriage. I was done playing the good guy, and it was time for a change. As the guests started rolling in, I couldn't help but observe Leo putting on his offensive charm, attempting to act perfect and flawless. Little did he know that his lies were about to be exposed. All of his friends, co-workers, and family members filled my house, completely clueless about what was about to go down. Finally, as the majority of the guests had assembled, Evelyn and I beckoned everyone to gather around for an announcement. Hey everyone, we're all here to give a shout out to Leo today. But if we're going to raise a glass to the guy, it's only fair that you know what he's really about. It's easy to talk smack and spread gossip, but believe me, the truth has a way of showing up. Now, you might be curious about how Evelyn and I, the ex and the current, can actually get along. Well, here's the lowdown. We've both been through the Leo experience, and he has been fooling us around, I began. Leo interjected. Whoa, hold up, Ava. What's going on? Did you maybe hit the drinks a bit too hard? No worries, everyone. You can just go back to whatever you were up to. I have the situation under control, I responded. Hey, Leo, Just give her a chance to speak, Evelyn urged. I know Leo might have been running his mouth and spreading lies about me, making me look like the crazy one for divorcing him or whatever. But let me set the record straight. There's only one reason why I left him, and that is because he was involved in some shady fraud. Thanks to Evelyn, the truth came out. I continued. Leo has been yapping about how this mansion belongs to him. Well, newsflash, it's actually mine. I've been working to raise my kid while Mr. Lucas over here has been stealing money from companies. The truth behind why I split with Leo is that he was mixed up in embezzlement stuff. I couldn't summon the courage to confront him about it before, but I'm not holding back any longer. Evelyn, I don't know what Ava has been telling you, but I promise you, it's not what you think. You guys, there's been a mistake. Cut the crap, Leo. Ava's been real with me, and I know all about your sketchy stuff. It was hard to believe I fell for your stories. Seriously, did you marry me just because you needed a new crash pad after Ava gave you the boot? Well, people, just so you know, the authorities are in the loop, and they'll be showing up any moment. It looks like the party's a no-go today. Seeing as this is my place and not Leo's, you're all free to take off. Are you for real, Ava? You've wrecked everything for me and Evelyn. Seriously, you were in on this? How could you go behind my back with my ex-wife? You two, I'm out of here. The cops are on their way, Leo. It might be a good move to get your lawyer to sort this out. And that's how I finally took care of what needed to be done a long time ago. Based on what I learned from Evelyn, there was an ongoing investigation into Leo, and he was found guilty of embezzling funds from the company he used to work for. The extent of his deceit went further as the company he was currently employed with discovered unexplainable discrepancies in their accounting records. It became evident that Leo was still up to his old tricks, continuing to steal from people. Consequently, he was slapped with a hefty fine of $170,000 and is now facing a 3-year prison sentence. I endeavored to shield James from these harsh truths for as long as possible, but eventually, I had to disclose the reality about his father. I had to convey that Leo was not a good man. The revelation has been challenging for James, and he still yearns for his dad at times. Nevertheless, he comprehends the situation. Exposing Leo and bringing his shady activities to light has been akin to lifting a heavy weight off my shoulders. I feel considerably more liberated now. It's true that sometimes you want to trust people and give them a second chance because everyone deserves one, right? However, there are individuals like Leo who simply refuse to change. I am fully embracing my life as a single mom, with my focus unwaveringly on James's happiness and well-being. I won't allow anyone to drag us down again. My friendship with Evelyn has been a source of comfort throughout this ordeal. It's amusing how life can lead to unexpected friendships. It feels like I've finally dealt with my unfinished business and moved on.
I found myself in a challenging situation, blessed with a wonderful husband, John, but cursed with the presence of my mother-in-law, Madison. John had always harbored a deep dislike for Madison, and I eventually gathered the courage to ask him about the source of his animosity. Reluctantly, he opened up, revealing a painful history of Madison's selfishness, overspending, and financial manipulation. John explained that Madison's reckless spending had led to his parents' divorce, and she had even taken out credit cards in his and his sister Mia's names during their youth. The debts accumulated, and John's father had to bear the financial burden to clear their credit. Despite the hardships, Madison continued her lavish lifestyle, obtaining the house that was meant to be John's father's in an unfair deal. The revelation was heartbreaking, and it shifted my perception of Madison entirely. Meeting David, John's father, only confirmed that Madison was the root cause of the family's troubles. She had not only financially exploited John and Mia, but also taken advantage of David's resources. The reality of the situation saddened me deeply. Before our marriage, I had limited interaction with Madison, as John had distanced himself from her. However, once we were married, I had to navigate the complexities of dealing with her toxic presence. I gained a first-hand understanding of Madison's true nature when she incessantly contacted John for money, manipulating and emotionally blackmailing him into sending her funds. Consequently, John struggled to save money, and matters worsened when we decided to purchase a house. Despite our frugal living and efforts to save for a down payment on our dream home, Madison's greed intensified. To my disbelief, Madison audaciously visited our house and commented on its size, insinuating that I had charmed my way into John's affections. In response, I asserted that we both contributed to the home's expenses, making it none of her business. However, Madison persisted, claiming ownership due to her relationship with John and demanding more money from him. Her entitlement knew no bounds, and this behavior persisted throughout our acquaintance. She regularly asked John for money, even though we had already sent her a substantial amount. Unfazed, she insisted that it was her son's duty to support her financially, and without hesitation, requested more funds. Madison's sense of entitlement extended beyond John, as she also extracted money from Mia and David. Despite holding a part-time job, her financial contributions were minimal, leaving her dependent on the generosity of others. Madison's attitude and actions revealed a pattern of exploitation that strained our relationship and highlighted the toxic dynamics within John's family. Madison's extravagant lifestyle, seemingly fueled by others' contributions, didn't directly impact me as John took care of all financial matters. Little did I anticipate that she would soon transform into a nightmare for me. Approximately 2 years after our marriage, John tragically succumbed to a rare medical condition. His passing was sudden, leaving us with insufficient time to prepare for the inevitable. Devastated, I found myself contemplating an end to my own life, as John was not just my husband, but the love of my life. During this challenging period, Mia and David became my pillars of support. While grieving the loss of John, their unwavering presence helped me maintain my sanity. Strangely, our shared grief brought us closer together. In stark contrast, Madison exhibited a callous demeanor. She shed a few tears at the funeral but failed to reach out or contribute to the funeral arrangements. Instead, she was preoccupied with her own agenda. Immediately after the funeral, she callously mentioned, "Now that the funeral is done and dusted, let's talk about the will." Appalled, I questioned her lack of sensitivity, urging her to show some shame. In response, she demonstrated a complete disregard for the emotional toll of John's loss and focused solely on what she could gain from his assets. When I challenged her expectation of inheriting anything, given her history of being a terrible mother, she threatened to sue. Her audacious demand for a share of John's assets was both heartless and infuriating. The contrast between our grieving hearts and her callous pursuit of material gain underscored the depth of her self-centered nature. In terms of my share, a significant portion of his funds was allocated towards his medical expenses. Additionally, despite generously providing you with a substantial amount every month, he rarely managed to accumulate any savings. It's audacious of you to seek financial assistance, especially considering his outstanding contributions to the household you currently inhabit. I am resolute in my desire for a fair share. The house cannot be solely yours. It is mine, and no action on your part can alter that reality. It would be prudent for you to maintain a distance from me. John displayed patience in dealing with you, but I won't extend the same courtesy. Rest assured, I will secure what is rightfully mine. You will receive communication from me. These were Madison's parting words as she exited. I was incredulous at her actions, further disheartened by the realization that John's mother seemed indifferent to his passing. I succumbed to despair, anticipating even more distressing news. Upon returning home after the funeral, I discovered signs of unauthorized entry. Panic set in as I meticulously inspected all my belongings. Most disconcertingly, a significant portion of John's possessions was missing, including his wedding ring, the very ring he had returned to me as a keepsake of his memory. Even our wedding album had vanished. Faced with the looming threat of another mental breakdown, I had no inkling as to who could have committed such an act. Intuitively, I suspected someone close to us. Thieves would have taken more, leading me to believe that there was only one person capable of such betrayal. It was at this juncture that I received a call from Madison, who, with a tone of authority, declared, "Now that you've had time to contemplate, I'm affording you an opportunity to relinquish your share of the house." "Madison, how can you persist with this? It's never going to happen. You're still being obstinate, I see. Let me make this clear, Madison. I have Brett's wedding ring, his childhood items, and our cherished wedding album in my possession." "What? How is that possible?" "It was simple. I made a spare key from John's house keys. I entered when you were preoccupied mourning by the casket. It's truly a shame. You need to return those items, Madison. I'll involve the police." "Yes, you can involve them, but I'd destroy everything before they arrive. They might catch me, but you'll never recover your precious items. How do you want this resolved? Sign over the house to me." "I want the entire house. Since you've been confrontational, I'll return the items once you sign the papers." She abruptly hung up, leaving me in utter disbelief. Madison had taken away all the precious mementos I had left of John. The house held no significance for me, but the more I contemplated her actions, the angrier I became. This woman not only ruined John's life, but also attempted to blackmail me into surrendering the house. I couldn't let her win so easily. In my desperation, I promptly called David and Mia to the house. I disclosed everything Madison had said and done, and they were shocked and appalled by her behavior. Mia exclaimed, "I am ashamed I married someone like this. My son isn't even in the ground, and she has started her schemes again. How can she be so cruel? This is horrible. I'll go to her house and confront her. I won't let you sign away the house. You and John have so many memories here. I won't let this happen." "No, Mia, if we confront her, Madison will try to destroy the items. I really need them back intact," I responded. "I'll call her and tell her that," David asserted. "I'll sign over the house," I announced, to the dismay of those around me. "You can't do that, that's insane." "No, Avery, please don't give in to her evil plans," pleaded my concerned friends. "Don't worry, guys, I have a plan," I reassured them. Madison had caused significant damage in our lives, disrespecting John's memory and attempting to steal my house. I couldn't let her off easily. I shared my plan with my friends, and they agreed to assist me. With determination, I contacted Madison and informed her of my decision to surrender the house. She was overjoyed at my apparent submission, eagerly mentioning that the papers were being prepared, and I would receive them soon. The audacity of this woman was truly unbelievable. A week later, Madison called me to sign the papers. As I carefully reviewed the documents, I informed her that my lawyer had prepared additional papers. Handing her the new set, I explained, "I've already processed the property papers and signed the documents he gave me. Here's the legal document that states you have accepted the gift." Madison, seemingly impatient, asked, "Do I need to sign this? I can't wait. Just tell me what to do." "All you have to do is sign these papers, that's all," I replied. "There, I have signed these papers and accepted your gift. So, I hope you can move out of the house this month. I'll start shifting slowly. I need to make a lot of redecorations, so make it quick," she said confidently. "Don't worry, Madison, you have exactly a month to move into your new house. There will be no problems at all. See? It wasn't so hard, was it? You get the things you wanted, and I get the one I wanted." Unbeknownst to Madison, she was the one being outsmarted. I had switched the papers, putting my signatures on a fake document with gibberish written on them. She never read the papers she signed, thinking she was accepting the house as a gift. Madison was about to receive a shock of her own making. Despite her reputation for being both foolish and excessively self-assured, she made the ill-advised decision to throw an extravagant party. Little did she realize that this event would deplete a significant portion of her savings. In her misguided belief that others would continue to finance her lifestyle, she even reached out to me saying, "Hey Avery, I'm hosting a grand party this weekend. Your thoughtful gift has truly transformed my life, and I want to share this joy with everyone. I'd love for you to be there when I announce the news of my new house." In response, I offered my congratulations to Madison, expressing my gratitude for the safe return of sentimental items. I assured her that I would attend the party to show my appreciation. However, secretly, I reveled in the irony of the situation. Madison, in her attempt to flaunt her newfound wealth, was oblivious to the fact that she had unwittingly brought me one step closer to exacting revenge. Madison had previously used the memory of my late husband to manipulate and wrest my house away from me. I harbored an unforgiving resentment towards her for this betrayal. Silently, I prayed to my husband's soul for strength, confident that he would support me in seeking justice. As the day of the party approached, anxiety set in, but Mia, a supportive companion, reassured me. "Don't be nervous, Avery. We're standing by your side. It's time for your mother to face the consequences of her wicked plans. I can't wait to witness her reaction when she realizes that I know everything." Acknowledging Mia's encouragement, I couldn't help but agree. Madison had evaded accountability for far too long, and I hoped that the truth about her monstrous actions would be laid bare for all to see. "I just hope everyone sees her for the true monster she is," I confided in Mia. As the day of reckoning neared, Mia assured me, "Everyone will be on your side when they hear the full story." The anticipation of exposing Madison's deceitful ways fueled my determination to reveal the truth and reclaim what was rightfully mine. "You're a brave girl," Mia's reassuring words echoed in my ears, providing a much-needed boost to my confidence. The strength I gained from her encouragement propelled me forward. ready to confront the aftermath of today's impending events. Upon arriving at the party, Madison's grand celebration unfolded exactly as Mia had predicted. It was evident that Madison was jubilant about acquiring the house and wanted to revel in her triumph with an extravagant affair. Witnessing the elaborate setup heightened my excitement, and I couldn't help but marvel at the grandeur of the arrangements. As we entered the venue, I found comfort in the presence of familiar faces, many of whom considered me a friend. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as everyone awaited the revelation of why Madison had orchestrated such a lavish event. The climax of the evening occurred when Madison rose to make a toast, capturing the attention of the curious crowd. She began with expressions of gratitude, framing the event as a celebration of a personal achievement. However, it was clear that the attendees were eager to uncover the specifics of her purported success. Cutting through the suspense, I couldn't resist urging Madison to be transparent about her so-called accomplishment. "Why don't you just tell everyone what this is about? I'm sure they're curious to know what you've achieved to warrant such a grand party." Attempting to maintain a facade of politeness, Madison responded, "Avery, it's rude to keep them in suspense any longer. Everyone, I have been given my dream home by Avery. She graciously gave me her old home as a gift. I'm so happy she made such a big sacrifice. I have to thank you, Avery." Refusing to play along with Madison's deceitful narrative, I addressed the gathering with candor. "Thank me for what, Madison? For being tricked into your scheme and signing away my house? Well, you're naive if you think I'll let this go." Madison, feigning innocence, retorted, "What do you mean I tricked you? Nothing like that happened." In that moment, the room hung in tense anticipation, and the eyes of everyone present shifted between Madison and me, awaiting the revelation of the truth. I'm here to disclose a disturbing incident involving Madison, who has wrongfully retained some valuable belongings of my deceased husband. Coercively, she compelled me to relinquish ownership of our house, employing blackmail as leverage by threatening to destroy those possessions and inflict suffering upon me. Shockingly, Madison meticulously orchestrated this scheme from the moment my late husband passed away. As the news of my husband's demise spread, whispers circulated among the attendees. When I turned to confront Madison, she sported a visibly nervous expression and dismissively claimed that someone nearby was merely joking about the situation. According to her, there was no truth to the allegations, and she justified her actions by asserting that the house was too burdensome for her to manage, prompting her decision to transfer ownership to me. However, this narrative contradicts the facts known by Mia and David, who are aware of the actual sequence of events. Avery supported my stance, asserting that Madison attempted to manipulate and coerce me into signing away the house. Despite our efforts to dissuade her, Madison remained unyielding and ignored our pleas. Madison accused us of betrayal, insisting that she deserved the house as her son had contributed financially. She disparaged my intelligence for purportedly surrendering the house for a few keepsakes, labeling me as foolish. The room fell into an uneasy silence, with even Madison appearing stunned by my revelation. In the background, David and Mia couldn't contain their amusement. Madison, perplexed, asked for clarification, questioning what I meant by near me. I pointed out that she should have thoroughly read the documents she signed and considered seeking legal advice before affixing her signature. To her astonishment, I revealed that I had swapped the papers, presenting her with the document that stated she had unknowingly signed over the house to me. Stunned and confused, Madison examined the document, realizing the gravity of her error. She questioned how such a transfer could have occurred, prompting me to emphasize the importance of due diligence in legal matters, leaving her dumbfounded and exposed. I engaged the services of a lawyer to draft the legal documents, so rest assured this is not a fabrication. Madison, don't feign ignorance of your own signature. It seems your malicious plans have backfired. Technically speaking, the house now rightfully belongs to me, and fortunately my own residence remains under my ownership. Here is your official eviction notice. Your tenure in the house is over, and I expect you to vacate within a month. Do not entertain thoughts of seeking financial assistance from us. We have severed all ties with you, and you will not receive a single penny. You should be ashamed of yourself. And if you possess any semblance of remorse, you won't darken my doorstep. Again, no, this is not a mere possibility, it's a reality. Before Madison could articulate another word, she simply fainted. Although tempted to laugh at the scene, I restrained myself. Surprisingly, no one rushed to her aid. Instead, the attendees threw disgusted looks her way. Some even chose to leave the gathering after offering words of encouragement. Nobody defended Madison because they were well aware of her deceitful nature. It was David who took charge, promptly calling 911 and requesting an ambulance. Madison was swiftly taken to the hospital for evaluation. Meanwhile, I chose to remain at the party with Mia, enjoying a pleasant time. Those present couldn't help but criticize Madison, expressing their long-standing dislike for her scheming ways. This time they were elated that someone had finally stood up against her. The following day, my phone buzzed incessantly with calls from Madison, who pleaded with me to annul the agreement and return the house to her. When Madison resorted to threatening legal action, I calmly asserted that she had willingly signed the papers, rendering her options limited. I cautioned her that I had the legal right to evict her from the house after a month. Despite her initial pleas for reconsideration, I stood firm. Before the month concluded, I successfully found a suitable buyer for Madison's residence, an admirable couple who resonated with the memories of my late husband and me. Seizing the opportunity, I finalized the sale, securing a substantial sum. Madison erupted in anger upon learning of the transaction, but she hastily retreated when confronted with the prospect of police involvement due to harassment. Faced with financial constraints, she was compelled to silence herself. Subsequently, Mia shared with me that Madison had resorted to pleading with them to provide shelter, teetering on the brink of homelessness. However, fed up with her toxic behavior, David and Mia refused to offer support again. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding my life gradually. With the proceeds from the sale of Madison's house, I managed to completely pay off my own residence. Having surplus funds, I treated David and Mia to a well-deserved vacation. While I may not be inclined to pursue dating again, the knowledge that I can continue residing in the house I once shared with my late husband brings me a sense of contentment.
My name is Amelia, and at 25 years old, I found myself entangled in a web of deceit and betrayal. However, this is also a story of how I rose above manipulation and malice, seeking justice from both my husband and mother-in-law. I met Oliver, a charming and charismatic man who swept me off my feet with affectionate words and promises of a bright future. We fell madly in love, and soon tied the knot, believing that our love could conquer all. Little did I know that our love story would take a treacherous turn. The source of my torment was none other than Oliver's mother, Sophia. From the beginning, she harbored deep resentment towards me, viewing me as an intruder in her son's life. Sophia embodied the archetype of those mothers who warrant a deep psychosocial inquiry into their behavior, as it seemed to be spiraling out of control. For 5 years, Oliver had been providing his entire salary to Sophia, leaving our financial stability hanging by a thread. This betrayal cut deep, tearing at the very fabric of our marriage. Despite my incessant pleas over the years for him to stop, Oliver would brush me off, indicating that his mother took precedence over the new family he was trying to build. At the time of our marriage, I was only 18 years old, a bumbling, naive young girl who believed that my husband would one day realize his wrongdoings and change, as his love for me ran deep. In hindsight, I now see the folly of such optimism. I was naive and fearful, and unfortunately, I lacked the courage to speak up against both Oliver and Sophia. They appeared to be a package deal, and their arrogance and hot-headedness proved to be a destructive combination. It took me 5 years to fully realize the magnitude of their malevolence. As the years passed, tensions between Sophia and me escalated. She seized every opportunity to belittle me, making it abundantly clear that I was unwelcome in her house and life. In her eyes, my presence was a privilege few could afford. Despite my attempts to communicate my concerns to my husband, he consistently dismissed me, indifferent to the verbal and emotional abuse I endured. Oliver's indifference made him complicit in the torment, and for that, I couldn't forgive him. The true extent of Sophia's animosity became painfully clear when Oliver lost his job. Without hesitation, she seized the opportunity to kick me out, claiming the house Oliver and I lived in was hers. This act crushed my spirit, leaving me vulnerable and homeless. In disbelief, I questioned Sophia, wondering how she could harbor so much hatred to evict me from a house that wasn't even hers. "It's not that I hate you, darling. I simply don't care for you. Besides, after Oliver lost his job, there's no way he can support you anymore. That's why I have to take over," This is my house, and in certain ways, it's been my house all along. What do you mean? It was only he and I living in the house, and now you want to disrupt the family dynamic and the household funds by moving in. And what do you mean it was always your house? How? How dare you? How can you speak to me in such a way? How dare you even question me, you stupid girl? You don't need to know the details of anything, considering you're no longer a resident here. Well, I suppose despising you is no bother now since you're getting kicked out. Just wait until I tell Oliver all about your evil plan. I got out of the house and proceeded to call my husband, thinking that he would help me. It was a big mistake. Hello, what's going on? You seem upset. Upset doesn't even begin to describe it, Oliver. Your mother kicked me out of the house the same day you lost your job. What? Why? It's been going on for years, Oliver. You've been giving her your entire salary without even considering our financial stability. I endured years of silent suffering, hoping for your change while she manipulated you. Don't deny it. She's deceived you. Those manipulated often remain unaware until they awaken from their delusions. My dear husband, you're still under her spell. I swear, Ava, if you persist in speaking ill of my mother, you'll hand her all of our money. You need to stop being delusional and recognize the mistreatment I endure. How can you sit there and do nothing? I'm your wife, for heaven's sake. Enough! It's no wonder she kicked you out of the house. Excuse me? You heard me. I won't tolerate you disrespecting her and me. Pack up your things and leave my mother's house this instant. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Had I entered a dimension where treating your wife poorly was a display of love? Certainly not. But why was he addressing me this way? Without a word, I returned to the house to find a smirking Sophia, reveling in her new house, claiming it as hers, and celebrating my departure from her and her son. Keeping my silence, I packed my things, mustering all the strength in my body to leave without committing a regrettable act. Angry, hurt, and confused, what kind of mother-in-law treats her daughter-in-law this way? I sought refuge with a friend, tending to my wounds and piecing together the shattered fragments of my life. The despair within me ignited a determination to seek retribution for the injustice I had endured. I couldn't let Sophia's actions go unanswered, and my foolish husband Oliver had to be held accountable. Both of them had to pay for the pain they caused. My friend repeatedly emphasized that I couldn't let these actions go unpunished, stoking the flames of my resolve. I decided to return to the house and confront Sophia, giving her a piece of my mind. Standing in front of Sophia's house for the second time that day, my heart pounded with a mix of nervousness and determination. It was time to face her and make her reckon with the consequences of her actions. Stepping inside, a flood of memories engulfed me. This house, once a place of pain and manipulation, would soon become a symbol of my victory. What are you doing here, Ava? You have no right to be in my house. Oh, I think you'll find that I do, Sophia. After all, it was your actions that led me here. Sophia's face contorted with surprise and disbelief. She had expected me to cower and run away defeated. Little did she know that I had found my strength. You think you can just waltz in here and take what you want? You're nothing but a leech, Amelia. No, Sophia. I've shed the timidity you once exploited. Strength has replaced vulnerability, and I've grown weary of your manipulative games. You misused my husband's earnings to construct this house, and now it's my turn to seize control. Your delusion is apparent if you believe you can outsmart me. Manipulation has been my lifelong expertise. Sophia, today the tables have turned. You've underestimated me, just as you've underestimated the resilience of a woman pushed to her limits. Our exchange of words heightened the room's tension, transcending a mere confrontation between individuals. It became a clash of wills, a fight for justice. While you may have won this battle, Ava, the war is far from over. I am determined to ensure you regret your actions. Let's see about that, Sophia. I've endured years under your shadow, enduring your abuse. Today, I am reclaiming my life, happiness, and freedom. Your reign is terminated. Experience the day you believe you deserve. With those parting words, I turned away, leaving Sophia stunned and defeated. Triumph surged through me as I exited the house. A small victory, yet a crucial step toward a future liberated from manipulation and pain. The journey ahead may pose challenges, but fear no longer holds me captive. I confronted my tormentor, discovering strength in the process. I have unwavering faith in the concept of karma, and a golden opportunity presented itself to me. While leaving the property, I noticed contractors installing a conspicuous red sign that boldly declared an auction on my mother-in-law's front porch. The swift decision to auction the house intrigued me, prompting questions about her motives and potential shady dealings. Intrigued and suspicious, I returned to my friend, sharing this newfound information. Together, we delved deeper into the possibility that Sophia's actions were part of a deceptive plan. Recognizing the significance of this revelation, I hatched a plan for the perfect revenge. To confirm Sophia's intentions, I conducted thorough research and found evidence supporting the auction of the house, scheduled for the very next day. My suspicions intensified, compelling me to unravel the mystery behind this shady practice. The following day, I stumbled upon an auction notice for Sophia's house, a serendipitous twist of fate. This moment became a crucial opportunity to reverse the power dynamics and reclaim control over my destiny. Fueled by newfound purpose, I meticulously devised a revenge plan, studying the housing market, calculating my maximum bid, and preparing for an unexpected confrontation with Sophia. Little did Sophia realize that I had undergone a remarkable transformation, rising from the ashes, fortified by the resilience adversity had instilled in me. Stepping into the auction room, my heart echoed a blend of nervousness and unwavering determination, ready to face those who had made my life a perpetual struggle over the past 5 years. However, my entrance was met with the predictable resistance of those who sought to maintain their control over my fate. Unfazed by their attempts to intimidate, I asserted my right to be there, warning of potential legal repercussions for harassment. Their gasps of disbelief fueled my resolve as I declared my intention to participate in the auction. Brushing off their attempts to mock my financial capability, I headed to my designated spot, locking eyes with Sophia, conveying a silent message of defiance. As the auction commenced, the hall buzzed with anticipation. Bidders eagerly vied for the mid-century modern house with a history entwined with Oliver. With strategic maneuvers, I played my cards, well aware of Sophia's dubious financial background. The atmosphere crackled with tension, each bid a calculated move in a game that had become deeply personal. I strategically leaked information about Sophia's alleged embezzlement, casting a shadow over the property's reputation and dissuading potential buyers. As the auction unfolded, the hesitation of bidders became evident. With a bid of $200,000, I questioned the lack of higher offers, revealing the shadiness surrounding the house. Sophia's fury was palpable as the truth dawned on her. Her attempts at control were backfiring. The panic in her eyes exposed a vulnerability hidden beneath years of manipulation. Dismissing Oliver's belated apologies, I asserted my autonomy, signaling the end of Sophia's reign. In a symbolic move, I placed the winning bid, claiming victory over the house and my life. The auctioneer declared the sale, sealing the deal for $200,000. The value of the property, well over $1 million, was now mine. As people exited, unimpressed by the unfolding drama, Sophia's face contorted with anger and disbelief. Desperate to regain control, she hurled insults, claiming the house meant nothing. Little did she realize that for me, it was a tangible symbol of triumph, a declaration that I would no longer be silenced or cast aside. "You'll regret this, Ava. Maintaining this house and paying its taxes will be beyond your means. Oh, Sophia, don't worry about me. I have plans, and this house will be a stepping stone to a better future. Regrets are for those who've lost everything, just like you." With those parting words, I turned my back on seething Sophia. She screamed and cried while Oliver attempted to console her, a chaotic scene that only solidified my victory. As I walked away, a sweet sense of liberation washed over me, breaking free from the chains of manipulation. Oliver, remorseful and desperate, tried to approach me, but I stood my ground, refusing to be swayed by empty promises. "It's over, Oliver. I won't be a pawn in this toxic game any longer. We're done. I'll send over the divorce papers once I settle down in my new home." "But where will we live? Frankly, you should be more concerned about the embezzlement accusation. At this rate, both of you might end up in jail. Ava, don't do this." "Too late. It's already done. Have a nice life, Oliver, and tell your mother that rage is not her color." Sophia continued to shriek, consumed by fury. I relished every moment. Despite her attempts to address the embezzlement claims, her image had been irreparably damaged. The unhinged outburst during the auction painted her as someone to avoid. With my head held high, I walked away from the crumbling remnants of my past. The confrontation marked a turning point in my life. In a moment of clarity and strength, I acknowledged the challenges ahead. But with newfound resilience, I was ready to face them. Revenge had brought me to this point, yet it was self-empowerment and the pursuit of happiness that would propel me forward. The aftermath of my revenge left an indelible mark on all our lives. As the highest bidder, I now owned Sophia's house, the very place she had kicked me out of. It was a bittersweet victory, a symbol of my triumph and resilience. Pouring my energy into building a new life, I took control of my destiny. Establishing a small business selling crocheted clothes, I channeled my creativity into every stitch. Word spread quickly, and my business thrived as the community embraced my creations and my customer base grew steadily. As my business expanded, I found myself in the market for more properties. The once shabby apartment Sophia and Oliver were forced to rent became a constant reminder of their downfall. No one in the community trusted them, and they had become outcasts. Oliver would still call me, begging to come over for a hot shower, but I refused. I can't believe how everything fell apart, Ava. I never imagined it would come to this. These are the consequences of your selfish and greedy actions. You should have stood up for me all those years ago. Should have told your mother that what she was doing wasn't right. Their lives unraveled in a snowball effect, crashing down with ferocity and grandeur. The consequences of their betrayal echoed through every aspect of their existence. They stood at the precipice of a trial that promised to lay bare their deceit, exposing them to further notoriety. The weight of their actions pressed upon them, leaving behind a profound sense of emptiness and escalating frustration. One day, Sophia herself reached out to me, admitting, "I have lost everything, Amelia. My son doesn't love me anymore, and I've forfeited the community's trust. I'm left with nothing. You have to help me. The consequences of your choices have caught up with you, Sophia. But this was never solely about revenge. It was about seeking justice and reclaiming my power. I hope you get everything you deserve, be it good or bad." The community rallied behind me, offering support and admiration for my resilience, which, in turn, brought more customers to my business. Through my success, I discovered a newfound understanding of my strength and determination. The closure I had yearned for was finally within reach as I surveyed the properties I now owned. I realized that revenge had propelled me forward, but it was my perseverance and resilience that brought true fulfillment. The past had shaped me, but it would no longer define me. With each passing day, I embraced the beauty of my journey, leaving the shadows of betrayal behind.
My name is Ava Sebastian. Orphaned at 19 due to a car accident, I had to leave high school to care for my younger sister, who was getting married. Despite expressing gratitude for the sacrifices made for her, the joy turned to humiliation during the wedding speech when the groom's father criticized me for being a high school dropout. The judgment in the room left me exposed, feeling the weight of societal expectations. It's not like I skipped high school because I was a bad student or didn't earn enough credits. Just as I was contemplating this, James came to my defense. "Dad, today is your son's big day. What the hell do you think you're doing? You were going to give a speech to ruin the wedding from the start." Who would want to ruin his son's wedding? It's a once-in-a-lifetime event. Of course, I was looking forward to it, but I changed my mind. I'm going to take this opportunity to make it clear. Emma is a magnificent person. She's an educated woman and works as a famous model. Your mother and I are proud you are marrying someone like her. But I can't believe her sister has dropped out of high school. Now that she'll be part of our family, it's a disgrace. As the heir to our family, you should at least understand that. Hold on a second. I think you three agreed to our marriage after I explained our circumstances to you, correct? And why are you saying that right now? The only reason I have an education is because of my sister. My sister even dropped out of high school to work for me. Besides, don't you think it's impolite to bring up such a trivial matter in front of her in the midst of our wedding? Do you think this is not important, Emma? You're going to be the CEO's wife. I don't believe you realize the magnitude of your duty. Let me say something directly, because you are the one who will be supporting James from now on. A lady should have the ability to make guys appear attractive, but why are you dragging your husband down? Well, I guess it is your sister who is dragging you down. Ian glared at me. I'm not marrying James to become the CEO's wife, or because he'll be the next CEO, or for any other specific reason. Even if you assume that being the CEO's wife is inevitable, you must listen to our advice as long as you are a member of our family. James, if you want to follow in my footsteps, keep in mind that you must also toughen up. You never know who might kick you down the road at any moment in this world. Don't you think you should first consider protecting your family, Emma? If you truly love James, you should be prepared to cut ties with your high school dropout sister. What do you think, darling? That's a good idea, Emma, don't you think so? He's got a point, Dad. I think that's enough. Why are you so heartless? Ava is going to be my sister-in-law, and as a family member, we should treat her nicely. I'll never allow them to get separated. What are you talking about? I do have a heart. I'm saying this because I care for you and Emma. Ava is like a mother to Emma. It's the same as asking Emma to cut ties with her parents. I won't accept such an absurd thing, James. It's all my fault. I'll leave. You shouldn't have a parent-child fight on such a happy day. Emma, from now on, James's father and mother will be like your parents. I think what they are saying is right too. See, even she says so. At least she can read between the lines. I guess they at least taught her how to do so in junior high. Yeah, well, that doesn't change the fact that she's a loser. Don't ever appear in front of us again like this. I thank you for raising Emma so well, but only Emma is welcome in our family. I understand exactly what you two are thinking. Emma, you are the most beautiful woman in the world today. I'm just happy I got to see you in your wedding gown. I'm sorry for not being enough for you. I hope you and James will be happy together. James, please look after Emma. I should have been enraged by what James's parents said, but I kept my composure by thinking that Emma would be happy with James. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for any inconvenience caused. As I approached the door, I felt compelled to express my regret to everyone present. I am genuinely sorry for making you uncomfortable. Shall we proceed? Once again, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to James and Emma on their marriage. Unfortunately, it seemed that none of the attendees paid any attention to my presence. Just when I believed the world was indifferent, Emma's words caught my attention. Unable to remain silent in the face of the absurdities directed at James, I felt the need to speak up. I apologized for the chaotic turn of events during our wedding and acknowledged the possibility of further complications. However, James reassured me, expressing his understanding and gratitude. Emma, seizing the moment, took the microphone and directed her words at Ian and Sophia, her in-laws. She addressed their derogatory comments about her sister Ava, who, despite being a high school dropout, was engaged to the business partner of Ian's company, Jack, the CEO. Emma emphasized the potential impact of their disrespectful behavior on future business dealings and challenged them to reconsider their stance. Ian dismissed the claim as a baseless lie and questioned the credibility of such an assertion. He expressed skepticism about Ava's engagement to a respectable CEO, dismissing it as an unrealistic fabrication. Emma, in response, urged him to consider the consequences of his actions on their future business relations and emphasized the seriousness of the situation. In conclusion, she advised against spreading unrealistic lies and reminded everyone that not everyone would readily accept such claims. The belief that education is everything may be challenged by my sister's situation. She has chosen to delay her official marriage to stay by my side. Once the wedding takes place, she will become the wife of a CEO from a more prominent company than yours, Ian. The disparity in positions is evident, and they are planning a grand ceremony soon. You can expect an invitation, as will I. Now, if you don't mind, I will have a conversation with Jack about today's events. I will inform him of your lack of common sense and your attempt to manipulate the situation with unfounded lies. Are you trying to intimidate me, dear Ian? Hold on a moment. She doesn't seem like she's lying. I won't be intimidated by baseless accusations. I would never lie in front of so many witnesses. If you persist in insulting my sister, I will not hesitate to report your actions to Jack. Imagine the repercussions if Jack, the generous CEO waiting for my sister to marry him, discovers that the person insulting his fiancée is none other than the CEO of his business partner. I can have Jack come down here right now. He cares enough for my sister to address any concerns immediately. Despite her occasional selfishness, Jack accepts her completely. What do you think, darling? Jack is an important business partner for you, right? I understand your concerns about potential repercussions on our business if this turns out to be true. However, let's take a moment to calm down. Arya, it's your wedding day, a momentous occasion. I came here to witness your happiness, and I don't want to overshadow it with arguments. You were perhaps too naive in handling this situation. Aren't you angry at them for uttering such terrible things? I, for one, will not forgive them until they apologize to you. Yes, I'm angry. But I don't want to disrupt your wedding, Arya. I am genuinely happy for you and have been eagerly anticipating this day. Let's not let this disagreement spoil the joyous occasion. I feel a deep sense of remorse more than anything else. What you're saying is perplexing. You shouldn't bear any guilt for this. While the wedding is undoubtedly significant, my concern for you equals the importance of the event. Forgiving those who made such absurd statements about you is a challenge. Can't you see the distress it causes Ava, who cares deeply for me? Education holds value, but my sister has been a constant support and I cannot forgive you, even as my husband's parents, for insulting such a vital person. Arya, let's try to calm down. Our words were not ill-intentioned. We spoke out of concern for James and you. If our intentions were not malicious, is it acceptable to offend someone? I retract my statement, so please grant us some understanding. Do you, two highly educated individuals, not comprehend the concept of apologizing? It's unsettling that you, who mocked Ava's educational background, seem unaware of this basic courtesy. Arya, your concern is valid. Allow me to extend a sincere apology, Ava. I regret my rudeness. Oh, you needn't worry about it anymore. My sole wish is for Emma's happiness. Ava, don't be too trusting. Sophia, what about you? Do you oppose apologizing to my sister? You previously emphasized the wife's duty to present her husband positively. Sophia hesitated, displaying a disgusted expression, but eventually apologized. Ava, I'm sorry. It's all right. The hall fell into a hushed silence, leaving me uncertain about what to do. Arya, however, managed to regain composure and addressed the gathering. I apologize for interrupting again. Each person in this world has their own circumstances. My parents passed away in a car accident when I was in elementary school. At that time, my sister was in high school but dropped out to raise me. I am genuinely grateful to her for going to such lengths. It is thanks to my sister that I am here today. Ava, I am sincerely thankful to you. I apologize for making this day, meant to express gratitude to you, so distressing. Emma, it's all right if you are happy. I am genuinely overjoyed, Emma. Congratulations on your wedding. The hall resounded with applause. Now let's continue with the ceremony. The proceedings flowed smoothly and concluded without any disruptions. When I was about to head to Emma's place, Ian and Sophia approached me. They expressed their concerns regarding our earlier conversation. About what we mentioned earlier, we want you to understand that our words were driven by concern for James. Ava, you were playing the role of Emma's parents, so you might comprehend the parental perspective. We spoke with James's well-being in mind, hoping to spare him from suffering. Please recognize that we had no intention of causing you harm. We understand you faced challenges early in life, losing your parents. Nevertheless, in the corporate world, where maintaining a favorable image is crucial, people's perceptions matter. I want you to know that our words were not meant to offend you. I sincerely apologize. He's right. Our concern is solely for James's welfare. Since we are going to be family, let's consider each other friends. You faced a lot on your own, and from now on, think of me as a real mother. Count on us if you need anything. Come visit us occasionally with James and Emma. Their sudden change in attitude made me feel uneasy. However, I couldn't find happiness in their seemingly superficial words. How could they claim that we were now connected, especially after explicitly requesting to end our relationship? What happened today would linger in my memory, no matter how much time passed. I don't mean to be harsh, but such superficial words don't bring me joy. Claiming that we are now connected contradicts your explicit request to end our relationship. Whatever happened today will be unforgettable. I can't help but think that both of you prioritize your own interests. You claim it's for James's sake, but I suspect it's more about preserving your public image. Otherwise, you wouldn't have marred your son's precious wedding. If it were me, I wouldn't have uttered such things at Emma's wedding. No, that's not true, right, darling? That's right. We are genuinely concerned about James. If your intentions are truly for James's well-being, why not apologize to him for today's incident? Because of your actions, James experienced a significant amount of embarrassment. Have you considered the impact of your actions on him? It's disheartening to see your own parents humiliate the family of someone you love. All I want is for Emma to be happy. and I don't plan to take any drastic actions. With my fiancé's support, I can assure you of that. Moreover, I've faced criticism in the past, so incidents like today don't bother me much. However, if you ever harm Emma in the future, be aware that I won't forgive you. Emma is my precious sister. While I held back during her wedding, expressing myself has provided some relief. Rest assured, we will treat Emma as if she were our own daughter. We were genuinely supportive of James and Emma's marriage. Both Emma and Ava are integral members of our family. Did they truly believe that attempting to flatter me would lead to a harmonious relationship? I appreciate your assurance, but if you'll excuse me, I want to go check on Emma. Why don't you go see James? That's right, please go see her, Sophia. Let's also apologize to James. As Emma's sister, I suppose I'll see you again. After shaking their hands, I proceeded to check on Emma. Emma, do you have a moment? Sure, come in, Ava. I'm sorry about what happened today. I know you must have felt terrible. If you're referring to what they said to me, it was nothing. I've faced similar comments from many people. They only focus on the fact that I dropped out of high school. People often judge based on appearances without considering what's inside. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the world. It was challenging at first. I see. I had no idea you had to endure all of that. Even though I didn't experience hardships, you were always there for me. I was able to give my best, and Jack played a crucial role during that time. He supported and accepted me, leaving me with nothing to worry about. With your and Jack's assistance, I feel confident in my happiness. I appreciate your concern, Ava. As I mentioned yesterday, now that James is here, consider your own happiness. Officially get married and find joy. If you don't, I won't feel at ease. I understand the importance of not keeping him waiting indefinitely, fearing he might grow tired of the wait. However, seeing how much Jack loves you, I believe that won't happen. It's surreal that it's now my turn to get married. I'll leave the speech to you. I'm confident you'll make everyone emotional. I wish our parents could have attended our wedding. Do you think they are happy? Yes, I'm sure they're happy. After my sister's wedding, I married Jack, and later we had our own wedding. We faced many difficulties as children when our parents passed away. Now both of us are blessed with children and have lovely families. Before you go, take this meal with you. I appreciate your kindness. During college, I worked part-time at a fast food shop. When the store closed at night, the manager would give me any unsold food, which was a great help since I lived alone. On my way home, passing through a park late at night, I often encountered a boy around 12 years old. He had shaggy hair, wore tattered clothes, and had a noticeable bruise on his forehead. Despite the puzzling sight of an elementary school student out alone at that hour, he was always drinking water at the fountain. I found myself wondering if the boy's parents were absent, or perhaps the kind who didn't question their children being out late at night. On one occasion, I witnessed the boy scavenging in a trash can. I approached him and asked, "Are you hungry?" The boy stared at me, stayed silent, and then nodded. So I offered him the food I had in a paper bag, saying, "Do you want to eat this? It's unsold from the fast food restaurant where I work. I got it for dinner, but I can easily buy more later." With that, I handed the bag to the boy. He thanked me and sat down on a bench to start eating. Curious, I sat beside him and watched as he happily devoured the meal with his sizable appetite. I struck up a conversation, asking if his house was nearby. The boy replied affirmatively and mentioned that his mom was at home but unwell. Inquiring further, I discovered that the boy lived with his mother, and his father had passed away when he was very young. His mother's recent illness left her unable to work and money was scarce, explaining why he struggled to have a full meal. The park served as a place to drink water whenever their supply at home fell short, as he was concerned about the water bill. Worried about their situation, I assured him, "Starting tomorrow, I'll bring food for you and your mom, seriously." The boy happily clapped his hands, and from that day forward, I accompanied the boy home, leading us to a weathered apartment that bore the marks of time. "Well, I'll hear from you starting tomorrow," I promised him, and we bid farewell. The following day, true to my word, I visited the boy's house on my way home from work, bringing him a meal. His mother came out to welcome me, expressing gratitude for my concern. She invited me inside, saying, "I know it's not much, but please come in and have a drink. Please come." Entering the house, I found the boy from the previous day, whom his mother called William. She asked for my name, and I replied, "My name is Mia." She complimented, "Mia, what a nice name," and introduced herself as Liam. Today, Liam seemed to be in better spirits. She shared that William didn't have many friends and didn't attend school regularly. From then on, I made it a routine to deliver meals to William's house every day. Even on days off from my part-time job, I would stop by to collect leftovers. Additionally, I assisted William with his homework. When V was unwell, I extended my help to chores like dishes, laundry, and cleaning. Liam was always appreciative of my efforts, but I insisted, don't mention it. I enjoy being with William. It's like having a little brother. Being an only child, he truly treats me like his older sister. William often confided in me about school, sharing his struggles and making friends. I encouraged him, saying, just smile when you greet someone and talk to them. When I suggested he make friends, it seemed to work, and he started attending school more regularly. A year passed quickly. I graduated from college and began working. However, the company was far from my current home, so I had to relocate. Before leaving, I visited Liam and William's house to bid farewell. Mia, I'm truly grateful for all the help you've given us. Liam expressed her thanks, tearfully apologizing for not being able to convey her gratitude adequately. By then, Liam had recovered from her illness, and she had resumed working, offering some relief. William, you should also thank her, Liam prompted. However, William remained curled up at the back of the room, not coming out. I could only hear him crying. I went over, patted his head, and said, goodbye, William, thank you for everything. We'll play again someday. I resigned from my part-time job at the fast food restaurant, bid my goodbyes to Liam and William, and moved to a town near my new office. In the subsequent years, I became too absorbed in work to reconnect with them. 13 years had passed since then, and at the age of 35, I was now married but childless. My husband consistently blamed me, asserting that it's my responsibility that we couldn't have children. My husband underwent a transformation after the company went bankrupt, leading to his job loss. He became aggressive when consuming alcohol and excessively spent on gaming, depleting our savings. Consequently, I had to cover our living expenses with my salary. However, he occasionally snatched money from my wallet, leaving me constantly short of funds and in debt. Whenever I broached the topic of leaving, he would become violent. One night, seeking refuge from my husband, I found myself alone on a park bench. There, I noticed a man drinking water at a fountain, triggering a sense of déjà vu. When he finished, he looked up, wiping his mouth with a towel, revealing a large bruise on his forehead. It was William. Without a doubt, our eyes met and he approached me. Mia, is that you? He asked. I confirmed my identity, concealing my scarred cheeks and damaged lips from my husband's beatings. William, right? I replied, covering my mouth. You haven't changed a bit, it's been a while. How are you? He inquired with a friendly tone. Oh my God, you've grown so much taller and bigger, I exclaimed. When he asked if Liam was with me, I sadly informed him, my mom passed away 2 years ago. Liam became ill again and died 2 years ago. Mom kept saying until the end that you came and saved our lives at that time. I see. By the way, what brought you here? I casually mentioned I was just taking a walk, but William, not buying it, suddenly grabbed my wrist, gently pulled my hand away from my face, and asked, who did this to you? Faced with his concern, I had no choice but to confide in him. William's expression turned angry, as if he were the victim. You should break up with a man like that as soon as possible, he insisted. I hesitated, admitting, but he gets very angry when I tell him I'm breaking up with him. Understanding the complexity of the situation, William assured me, if that's the case, I'll tell him. Since then, William had worked hard, securing a scholarship and becoming a lawyer. He expressed his gratitude, saying, I want you to let me help you because you took such good care of me back then. I am here now because of you, Mia. It's because of you that I was able to eat well, grow up healthy, go to school, and become a lawyer. I wanted to be someone like you who can help people in need. That's why I want to repay you. William offered me a place to stay at his apartment that night to ensure my safety from potential harm at home. He lived alone and still seemed to be single. Mia, you can take your bath first. Come on, you're treating me like a child, I protested playfully. William chuckled, saying, but you were young. Thanks, by the way. You've grown up, of course. I'm currently 25 years old. Do you participate in any sports? I used to wrestle a bit in college, but now it's just jogging and strength training. Despite my assurance that I could sleep on the sofa, William insisted on taking the sofa himself that night. I ended up sleeping on William's bed. The next day, I went to the city office to obtain a divorce form. After filling out half of it, I brought it back to my husband. Upon my return, my husband demanded to know where I had been. However, when William appeared and handed his card to my husband, the atmosphere shifted. and my husband fell silent. As I broached the topic of divorce, my husband began to act irrationally, telling William to leave. In the midst of the chaos, my husband grabbed William by the chest, prompting William to twist his arm, causing my husband to release him with a shout of pain. Deciding to leave, I packed my bags that day. Unfortunately, I had nowhere to go and no money for a hotel. The friend I had counted on had unexpectedly left on a business trip, leaving me in a bind. Feeling lost, William offered, "Do you want to stay at my place for a while? Is that okay? Am I not bothering you?" William blushed for some reason as he spoke. I was surprised by his words, finding it hard to believe he was expressing romantic interest in me. I apologize for expressing this sentiment somewhat slyly, but I am genuinely serious. We first met when I was just a kid, but I've always harbored a crush on you, Mia. The feelings never faded, and as I grew older, I couldn't shake the thought of finding you again. Unfortunately, the search was futile until now. Seeing you again like this makes me incredibly happy. William's cheeks were tinted with a rosy hue, reminiscent of the small boy he used to be. I wonder, is it acceptable to you now that I've turned into such an old lady? As I mentioned before, you are not an old lady, I reassured him. Following that encounter, my divorce from my husband was successfully finalized. Having taken pictures of my injuries as evidence, it worked in my favor. William and I have been dating ever since, sharing holidays, visiting each other's homes, and thoroughly enjoying our time together. Then, 1 year after our reunion, William took me by surprise with a proposal. "Mia, I have loved you ever since I was a kid. Will you marry me?" His eyes met mine as he spoke, and despite his once small stature, he had grown strong. My heart skipped a beat once more. I took his hand in mine and answered with a resounding, "Of course I love you, William." Tears welled up in William's eyes as he hugged me tightly. In that moment, I was certain that Liam, his mother in heaven, was congratulating us. Holding William's hand, I made a heartfelt pledge to cherish him forever.